In an age of endless war, a mighty demon lord emerged from the conflict. The hero and demon lord fought to a bitter, mutual end. The fragile balance would shatter if either the demon lord or hero returned. And now, in the present day, the ritual for revival has begun. Demons have gathered from the north, east, south, and west. They declare their intent to rebel, vowing to fight with all their will. They pray for their master's return, seeking the power to claim victory. Two beastmen weep, certain their most profound wish is about to be granted. The entire chamber chants for the return of their demon lord, their king. But from the steam, a small, pained voice cries out in confusion. Instead of a mighty sovereign, a schoolgirl has fallen to the ground, hurt. A few minutes earlier, in another world, Eri cheerfully says good morning. Her friends tease her, guessing she stayed up watching videos instead of studying. One friend bribes her with a juice box, knowing she loves sweet things. As they walk, Eri's expression suddenly becomes serious and focused. She sees a group of rough-looking young men blocking the staircase for everyone. The men sit with arrogant expressions, ignoring the people trying to pass. Her friends mutter about how annoying the men are, urging her to pass. They laugh cruelly as younger students are forced to squeeze past their blockade. A quiet but firm determination hardens in Eri's gaze. Her friends call out in alarm as she resolutely walks toward the group. Katajiri Eri steps forward, asking if they would please change their location. The men look up, annoyed and confused by her sudden interruption. She explains that this is a public path and asks them not to block it. They laugh mockingly, telling her to just step over them if she wants to pass. Her expression becomes unreadable, her bangs casting a shadow over her eyes. With an intense gaze and visible fangs, she firmly tells them to move quickly. Her sheer force of will seems to stun the delinquents into silence. She suggests they move to the benches in the nearby park to talk. Convinced, they agree that her idea is better and quickly leave the stairs. Her friends rush towards her, calling her name with a mix of relief and worry. They playfully bop her head, asking what she was thinking and if she's okay. One friend comments that it's best to be firm with such people. Eri wonders if anyone would listen if you just spoke to them honestly. She explains her grandmother taught her never to ignore someone who is in trouble. Her friend asks if that grandmother is the one who gave her the strange keychain. Eri confirms this, holding up the peculiar, armored crab-like keychain. Her friend recoils, commenting on its incredibly strange and bizarre design. She fondly recalls her grandmother, Grazia, as a strange but kind person. Her friend, confused by the name, suddenly points at Eri in alarm. She shouts that something is glowing, and Eri looks down in shock. Eri cries out in confusion as the light from the keychain intensifies. A glowing magic circle appears beneath her feet, lifting her off the ground. One of her friends reaches out desperately, trying to grab her hand. Eri's face is a mask of terror as she is pulled backward. Her friend's hand desperately reaches, just missing her own outstretched fingers. Their fingers slip past each other as the magical force pulls Eri away. She is pulled backward into a strange vortex, her mind unable to process it. She tumbles through a chaotic void, crying out as she falls. She finds herself on a stone floor, surrounded by confused, monstrous beings. One of the monsters declares that she is just a little girl, not their lord. Eri panics, completely overwhelmed and confused by the bizarre situation. A lizard man turns to his leader, Legion, demanding an immediate explanation. Legion stares intently at the girl, a thoughtful, unreadable expression on his face. An imposing, muscular figure steps forward from the crowd of onlookers. Ira of Wrath bellows that the ritual has failed, seeing no demon lord. Superbia of Pride calmly states that it is too early to be certain. Luxuria of Lust seems more amused, commenting on how cute the girl is. Aestia of Sloth simply asks if they can return to their room to sleep. The four formidable generals loom over the small, terrified high school girl. Her mind screams in terror, overwhelmed by how frightening they all are. Ira grabs a subordinate, roaring that he doesn't care why a human appeared. He then grabs Eri by the collar of her blazer, lifting her up. He roars in her face that a little girl like her can't be their lord. She is completely terrified by his immense size as he holds her aloft. Luxuria chides him for his crudeness, while Aestia simply yawns, bored. Ira scoffs, saying refinement is irrelevant when one is squashing an insect. Eri hangs limply in his grasp, her eyes wide with shock and fear. The horrifying realization dawns on her, he just said he would kill her. She panics, pleading for him to wait, that she doesn't understand anything. Her eyes dart around frantically, searching for anyone who might intervene. The others casually discuss her death, certain she will not be missed. With a roar of frustration, Ira carelessly tosses her to the stone floor. His massive, clawed hand descends upon another terrified captive nearby. The captive is a young blonde girl, cowering in fear before the blow. Legion spots the glowing, crab-like keychain lying on the floor nearby. Realizing its significance, he shouts desperately for Ira to stop his attack. Ira looms over the girl, telling her it is her unlucky day to be human. Seeing the girl in danger, a spark of defiant resolve ignites in Eri's eyes. She leaps onto his descending arm, screaming a primal command to stay away. The colossal demon freezes, straining as he finds himself completely unable to move. Eri stands firm, herself surprised that her desperate act actually worked. A single bead of sweat rolls down her cheek as she processes what happened. In a single, unified motion, the entire assembly of demons kneels before her. A beastman whispers in awe, confirming that there is no mistaking that power. Legion looks on with reverence, realizing this is the moment they've awaited. Ira, released from her command, remains kneeling, his face a mask of shock. Superbia, too, kneels, his cold, analytical gaze now filled with intrigue. Luxuria kneels, her previous amusement replaced by a look of genuine fascination. Even the sleepy Astia is now wide awake, kneeling with the other generals. Legion approaches her, declaring they have awaited her revival, their demon lord. Eri sits awkwardly on a massive throne in a grand, empty hall. Legion gently asks if she has calmed down, a small demon peeking from behind. He offers a small, reassuring smile, glad that she is safe and sound. Eri looks back at him, her expression still filled with dazed uncertainty. He formally introduces himself as Legion, an aide to the previous demon lord. He pledges his unwavering service to her, formally addressing her as Eri-sama. Eri stammers his name, trying to ask him a question about her situation. She asks where she is, explaining she was just on her way to school. Legion agrees that an explanation is in order, moving toward a large window. Eri stares with wide, shocked eyes, completely speechless at her new surroundings. Legion reveals a breathtaking, terrifying vista of a Gothic city and a towering castle. He explains this is Ars Machina, the demon realm, a world entirely different from her own. Another world? Eri screams, her mind reeling from the impossible revelation. She whirls on Legion, desperately demanding to know why she, of all people, was brought here. Legion begins to explain that the reason for her summoning is her very bloodline. A flashback shows a regal, horned woman as Legion names the previous demon lord, Grazia Aegis. Eri whispers the names, the impossible connection clicking into place. Grazia is her grandmother. Legion confirms that her grandmother was indeed a truly magnificent demon lord. The shock is too much, Eri collapses onto the throne, her legs giving out. "My grandma was the demon lord?" she shouts, horrified that she carries the blood of such a being. Her mind races, recalling her grandmother's secrecy and strange protective charms. Legion explains the ritual was meant for Grazia, but Eri's bloodline made her the target. He then delivers the final, soul-crushing blow. There is no known way for her to return home. "Don't you dare decide that for me," she explodes, leaping from the throne in a fury. She passionately declares she has a life, friends, and a school to return to. Her grandma may have been the demon lord, she insists, but she is different. Legion calmly explains the power she possesses, domination through words, an ability to control all of creation. Eri realizes this must be the undeniable power inherent to the demon lord. She recalls how she effortlessly commanded the giant Ira to stay away from her. Suddenly, a voice from the hall roars that they've heard the demon lord has been revived. Legion and Eri turn in alarm as the massive throne room doors begin to splinter. With a deafening crash, the doors are smashed open. A savage mob of armed beastmen storms in, one shouting that he sees the little brat. Another roars that whoever kills her will become the new demon lord. Legion draws his sword, yelling for Eri to run to safety. Eri stands her ground, her face hardening with frustration as she thinks they're all getting carried away. "I've had enough of this," she screams, unleashing a shockwave of pure power. The entire mob is sent flying backward in a chaotic, unconscious heap. She pants, glaring at the carnage, thinking that should get the message across. Legion kneels, stunned by her immense power, as her foot stomps the stone floor. The hulking general, Ira, appears and grabs her, declaring that in this world, power is everything. Legion furiously accuses Ira of orchestrating the attack, but Ira merely scoffs. The general claims he was only testing her to see if she was a worthy vessel. As she tells him to let her go, he seems surprised by her defiance. With another burst of power, she shoves the colossal demon back, screaming for him to get away. She clutches her chest, shouting that she is not the demon lord. Pushing past a stunned Legion, she yells at them not to drag her into their selfish mess. She flees the throne room as Legion calls out her name in a panic. He makes to follow, but freezes when she commands him not to come after her. As she runs, she thinks this other world has nothing to do with her, she is her own person. She races across a stone bridge, her only thought to get back home as quickly as possible. Her desperate flight takes her out of the castle and into a jagged, alien wilderness. Exhausted, she finally stops, realizing she is now completely lost and far from the castle. Her stomach rumbles loudly, a stark reminder that despite the title, she is still human. She wanders into a strange forest, wondering if the bizarre, apple-like fruit is safe to eat. Pushing through a thicket, she stops dead in her tracks, her eyes widening in shock. Before her lies the massive, horned carcass of a dragon. She whispers in disbelief, wondering how such a creature could possibly exist here. As she cautiously approaches, the supposedly dead beast begins to stir. She freezes, pure terror robbing her of her voice. The dragon's immense head rises, its glowing eyes locking onto her with predatory intent. In her final, desperate moment, she silently cries out for her grandmother. In a blur of motion, Legion appears, sweeping her into his arms and out of harm's way. He smiles, relieved that he made it in time and she is uninjured. Still in shock, Eri can only stammer, asking why he came for her. He simply tells her to hold on tight as she looks back in confusion. A massive torrent of fire erupts from the dragon's mouth, engulfing the spot where they just stood. Eri screams as Legion leaps through the air, carrying her away from the fiery blast. A close-up shows her face contorted in pure terror. She looks up at her rescuer, her expression a mixture of fear and awe. Legion holds her protectively, standing between her and the enraged, fire-breathing dragon. He holds her close, his expression one of calm, unwavering focus. The wounded dragon snarls, its eyes blazing with fury. Still holding Eri with one arm, Legion unleashes a volley of lightning-fast sword strikes. The dragon's thick hide is peppered with the impacts of his precise assault. He moves with supernatural grace, his blade carving deep into the beast. He is a whirlwind of motion, effortlessly dodging and attacking. The colossal monster roars in agony as it is overwhelmed by his skill. Legion's blade becomes a silver streak as he delivers the final, decisive blow. The two move as one, a dynamic blur of protector and protected, warrior and future queen. A close-up reveals Legion's sharp, determined profile as he executes his attack. Eri can only watch, her face a mask of pure, stunned amazement. The battle won, they find themselves in the desolate, rocky landscape surrounding the castle. Legion gently sets her down. She thanks him for saving her life. He asks if she still wishes to go home, and she shouts back that of course she does. When he asks how she plans to do it alone, she falters, realizing she has no plan. She declares that no matter what, she will find a way home, and he can't stop her. Legion smiles faintly, assuring her that he has no intention of stopping her. Instead, he makes a stunning offer: he will help her. Eri is completely taken aback, her anger replaced by pure confusion. He explains that while he lacks the power, the castle is filled with powerful mages. If she can win their trust as Demon Lord, they might discover a way to send her home. He extends his hand, formally inviting her back to the castle to take up her title. Eri hesitates, looking down at her hands, the weight of the decision pressing down on her. Legion admits this world is harsh, but as Demon Lord, she has the power to change it. He tells her that she, of all people, possesses the qualification to reshape her destiny. His words trigger a powerful, half-forgotten memory. She recalls the wisdom her grandmother, Grazia, once shared with her. A person's worth, her grandma had said, is not defined by their birth or their possessions. The memory grounds her, her feet feeling solid on the alien soil for the first time. A vision appears of her in a void, as her grandmother's voice explains what truly defines a person. It is what one does in the darkness, tremble in fear, or trust the light and step forward. Eri smiles wryly, amused that such a hopeful philosophy came from a demon lord. She gazes at the distant silhouette of the demon castle. She turns her back to Legion, admitting to herself that she is still just a high school girl. Her old life calls to her, a world of foods to eat and places to see. Legion watches her silently, waiting for her decision. She clenches her fists, a new resolve hardening in her eyes. She turns to face him, her voice strong, and declares that to return home, she will become the Demon Lord. A genuine, relieved smile finally touches the lips of the stoic aide, Legion. Eri crosses her arms, her posture showing a newfound and unwavering determination. Legion's expression softens into a warm, genuine smile of profound relief. Eri beams, agreeing to work together with Legion from now on. He takes her small hand in his gloved one, sealing their important pact. In the desolate wilderness, Legion kneels, pledging his loyalty to Eri-sama. Their journey takes them back to the demon realm of Ars Machina. In a grand hall, Legion commands the 4 generals to listen closely. He announces that Eri will now reign as the new Demon Lord. The official coronation ceremony is set for the night of the next new moon. As the generals turn to leave, Legion tells the mighty Ira to wait. Ira scoffs at her return, questioning her sudden desire for the throne. He challenges the others, asking if they truly accept this decision. Eri looks on nervously, aware that she is still just a human. Luxuria's elegant hand gestures as she offers her enthusiastic support. She purrs, welcoming her adorable new demon lord with open arms. Eri thanks her, flustered, as Ira grumbles for her to stop fawning. Superbia dismisses the issue, stating the process is ultimately irrelevant. He says their duty is to obey, while Astia complains they are still talking. Legion turns his attention back to Ira, directly asking for his thoughts. Ira remains silent for a moment, his expression a mask of disapproval. His face contorts with simmering rage as he prepares to speak his mind. Eri watches with apprehension, bracing for his inevitable outburst. Ira roars that he refuses to acknowledge this brat as the demon lord. Legion looks down, his expression somber but unsurprised by the rejection. Ira rephrases his statement, claiming to speak for all of demonkind. He declares they cannot entrust the fate of their entire race to her. Superbia watches the escalating confrontation with a cold, analytical gaze. Astia is already half asleep, completely disinterested in the political drama. She lets out a massive yawn, finding the whole situation tiresome and scary. Luxuria peeks from behind a pillar, telling Ira not to dismiss this. From behind, Ira reminds them of the immense weight the title carries. He looms over Eri, questioning if she truly possesses the necessary resolve. Eri meets his intense challenge with a determined glare of her own. She clenches her fist, admitting that, to be honest, she is clueless. She confesses she doesn't understand their world or their immense struggles. She pauses for a moment, her voice gaining strength for her plea. She bows her head, passionately asking them to teach her everything. She shouts her desire to learn what it takes to be a proper demon lord. The generals are stunned into silence by her unexpected humility. Legion steps forward, agreeing that Ira's point is a valid one. He acknowledges that many others likely share Ira's doubts and concerns. He explains that to avoid chaos, Eri must prove her power to them all. He kneels before Ira, humbly begging him to lend them his strength. Eri cries out his name, shocked by this profound act of loyalty. Ira looks down at Legion, moved by his plea but still unconvinced. He asks if this brat is truly worth such a display of devotion. He concedes she has will, but questions if she has the necessary power. He roars for her to prove herself by showing him her power, right now. The other generals watch with keen interest, awaiting the inevitable outcome. Legion looks down, his expression one of calm acceptance of the challenge. Ira's face is a mask of grim expectation as he awaits her response. He smirks, ready to see what their new, unproven monarch is made of. Eri's hair flows as she silently accepts the challenge laid before her. She stands before Ira's massive fist, unintimidated by his sheer size. Her expression is one of pure, unwavering determination and intense focus. The other generals observe the tense confrontation from the sidelines. Legion watches his new master, a hint of a proud smile on his face. Ira lets out a low chuckle, acknowledging that she at least has the will. He turns and tells her to follow him to the training grounds. He promises to teach her how to use her power like a true demon lord. They arrive at the vast, circular underground fighting arena of the castle. Ira begins his lesson, stating the fundamental nature of their ruler. He declares that to be a demon lord is to be a wielder of power. He explains she must first learn to master her own, king's prerogative. Eri questions what this special power is, and Legion confirms it. Legion explains it is a unique ability that only the demon lord possesses. He reveals that she has inherited the powerful prerogative of domination. Eri repeats his words, trying to grasp the concept of this immense power. Ira scoffs that it's a terrifying power, capable of destroying the world. Legion suggests they start by practicing the domination through words she knows. Eri prepares herself, facing the colossal silhouette of her first opponent. She takes a deep breath and firmly commands the massive Ira to sit. Ira remains completely unmoved, a bored and unimpressed look on his face. He taunts her, asking what she is trying to make him do. Legion notes that her power seems inconsistent and unreliable at best. He observes that her power seems to fluctuate with her emotional state. Her memory of the dragon attack surfaces, her helplessness fueling her anger. Ira cruelly mocks her for being defeated by a mere giant lizard. Eri glares, infuriated by his taunts about her fitness to be demon lord. She unleashes her rage, commanding him to lie down with absolute authority. The sheer force of her command slams Ira face first into the stone floor. Eri feels a surge of confidence, realizing she is getting the hang of it. Ira sits up, dazed and humiliated by his new, subservient pose. Her training continues in the vast, echoing library of the demon castle. Eri is overwhelmed by the towering stacks of books she must now read. She timidly asks what all of these thick, ancient books are for. Superbia explains they are history books, knowledge she must naturally possess. Eri is taken aback by the sheer volume of history she must learn. Faced with the daunting task, she asks what a demon lord truly is. Superbia agrees to teach her, as she hides behind a stack of books. He declares that a demon lord is a being of unending, infinite desire. He elaborates that their deepest desire is for knowledge, the spirit of inquiry. This thirst for knowledge is so powerful it can overcome the fear of death. He holds a heavy tome, asking if she understands this fundamental truth. He leans in, stating that this spirit of inquiry cannot be stopped by God. Eri stares, intimidated by the intensity of his philosophical lecture. Superbia tells her that to rule this world, she must first know it. He acknowledges that there is not enough time before the coronation ceremony. He explains that engraving so much knowledge into her brain would be a cruel task. Superbia pauses, a new idea forming as he prepares to reveal his solution. He presents a pristine loaf of bread, an invention for effortless memorization. Eri stares in horror, demanding to know what that strange bread is. He explains his invention can transcribe books, but Eri immediately rejects it. With a serious expression, Superbia admits there is one rather inconvenient caveat. Eri realizes she would have to eat the entire massive loaf of bread. She shouts that using it would erase all her memories, which is unacceptable. Her training then moves from the library to Luxuria's opulent dressing room. Completely drained from her lessons, Eri collapses onto a plush sofa. Luxuria appears, gently pulling Eri's head into her lap, noting her fatigue. As Eri calls her name, Luxuria suggests they do something fun together. Confused, Eri questions what fun could mean. Luxuria confirms it cheerfully. She leads a bewildered Eri into a massive closet, announcing a fashion lesson. For a moment, Eri's face lights up at the promise of fun. Luxuria explains that a ruler's dignity is shown through their attire. She promises to pick the perfect outfit and playfully tells Eri to undress. Eri is mortified, clad in a revealing, skin-tight demonic leotard. The outfit leaves little to the imagination, much to her shock. Her face a mask of blushing horror, she shrieks, "What is this?" Luxuria praises the look while Eri insists she cannot wear it in public. The sultry demoness leans in close, whispering into Eri's ear. She offers to teach Eri a valuable lesson about her new role. A demon lord, Luxuria explains, is a being who is loved by all. Eri quietly ponders the strange, profound concept of being a loved one. This love, Luxuria insists, transcends the boundaries between humans and demons. To be loved without reason, she posits, is the most demonic existence of all. Eri feels dizzy, overwhelmed by Luxuria's intense and unusual lesson. She looks up, her mind struggling to process this new philosophy. Luxuria invites her closer, promising to be the first one to love her. Eri is flustered and confused by the demoness' bold proposition. Legion's sharp command stops them, but Luxuria leads Eri further away. His sudden appearance in the dressing room startles Eri. Luxuria turns back, clearly annoyed by her guardian's interruption. She chides him for barging in while a girl is changing clothes. Legion ignores her, instead warning Eri to be on her guard. He explains that Luxuria, as a succubus, uses sweet words to beguile people. Luxuria dismisses his concern, claiming she is very selective with her partners. Her attendant invites Eri back when her overprotective guardian isn't around. The final lesson takes place in the cluttered laboratory of the sleepy Astia. Eri enters cautiously, announcing her presence as she peers into the room. She finds the general fast asleep, using a large, fluffy creature as a pillow. She wonders what to do, seeing as Astia is completely unconscious. Hesitantly, she reaches out, unsure if she should wake the slumbering general. The creature's eye snaps open, startling Eri, as Astia stirs and points. The sleepy general wordlessly presses an intricate, star-shaped pendant into her hand. Astia mumbles that it will triple the effect of monster-warding charms. Having delivered her cryptic message, she immediately flops back onto her pillow. A confused Eri asks what exactly a demon lord is supposed to do. But Astia is already fast asleep again, leaving Eri completely exasperated. Later, in a grand, torchlit hall, Eri discusses the strange gift. She presents the star-shaped pendant to her loyal aide, Legion. He explains it is a powerful magic tool that she should always wear. He reassures her that Asedia's magic is the most potent in the demon realm. With this charm, he says, she will be safe from lesser demonic creatures. The term monster warding sparks a sudden realization for Eri. Legion confirms her crab-like keychain was one of Grazia's protective charms. He explains it was the keychain that allowed him to identify her bloodline. Sitting on the throne, Eri realizes her grandmother was always protecting her. With a gentle, heartfelt smile, she quietly whispers her thanks to Grazia. The scene shifts, panning across the grand hall with its ornate chandeliers. Legion begins to discuss the speech she must give for her coronation. Eri interrupts, asking if she can pose a question first. She asks him what a demon lord truly is, confessing her confusion. Legion listens intently, his expression thoughtful and serious. Eri looks down, feeling lost beneath the weight of her new title. He notes that she is being swayed by the words, Demon Lord. Stepping forward, he declares that the Demon Lord is simply, you. Eri looks up at him, her eyes wide with surprise at his answer. He tells her to ignore expectations and simply do what she feels is right. His gaze is firm as he prepares to give his profound reason. It is because she is Katagiri Eri, and that is all that matters. His words strike a deep chord within her, moving her to her core. With a gentle smile, Legion pledges his unwavering service until the very end. He will follow her, no matter what kind of demon lord she becomes. That night, under a crescent moon, a massive demonic host gathers. The crowd murmurs, wondering about the new, human demon lord. A monstrous hand points to the balcony, shouting for the others to look. Eri appears, flanked by Legion and her 4 imposing generals. The crowd erupts into hostile shouts, threatening to kill their new ruler. Eri's clear voice cuts through the din, commanding them to be silent. The chaotic mob is stunned into silence by her unexpected authority. Even the mighty Ira watches from behind her, a silent guardian. Eri gazes down at her new subjects, her expression determined. She closes her eyes for a moment, gathering her resolve for what comes next. Facing the sea of monsters, she declares she will now be their demon lord. Superbia listens from behind, his expression cool and analytical. Luxuria watches her new master with a gentle, knowing smile. Aestia, though sleepy, seems to sense the gravity of the moment. Eri admits her ignorance but vows to do her best on her chosen path. She will not meet their expectations, but will follow her own heart. As Legion drapes a dark cape over her, she prepares her final statement. She raises her voice, declaring that this is who she is. With a powerful roar, she announces that the demon lord is Katagiri Eri. Ira's expression shifts, a hint of grudging respect in his eyes. Superbia allows a faint, satisfied smirk to grace his lips. Luxuria's smile widens, clearly impressed by her new sovereign's conviction. Even the perpetually drowsy Aestia seems to register her powerful will. The entire demonic host is stunned into a profound, collective silence. Then, the silence shatters into a thunderous, unified roar of approval. Legion recalls her words, which echoed the great demon lords of the past. She had unknowingly revealed her innate quality to rule, becoming the demon lord. From a high castle balcony, a lone figure surveys the vast demon city. Legion's voice is heavy with memory as he speaks Grazia's beloved name. In a flashback, he asks his master, Grazia, if she is truly leaving. With a gentle but firm expression, she confirms that she is departing. She explains that her role in this world has finally come to an end. Legion stands ready to receive his final, solemn orders from his queen. She entrusts him with the future of the realm, and of that girl. Knowing he will protect them, she can finally leave on her journey in peace. He listens, his face a mask of sorrow and unwavering devotion to her. His eyes betray the deep pain hidden beneath his stoic, loyal exterior. He bows his head, accepting the heavy burden she has placed upon him. Kneeling, he pledges to carry out her final command without a single question. His private thoughts reveal a heart-wrenching, unspoken wish to follow her. He wanted nothing more than to remain together with his beloved master. The scene returns to the present, where a massive crowd cheers wildly. The adoring mob shoves and fights for a better view of their queen. Overwhelmed by their intense fervor, Eri offers a strained, awkward laugh. Their adoration quickly turns to bloodlust, demanding an immediate war against humanity. Eri tries to timidly interject, her small voice lost in the din. She weakly suggests that perhaps war is not the best course of action. Her gentle protest is met with a moment of stunned, confused silence. For a brief moment, she thinks they might actually be listening to her. They twist her words, cheering instead for a glorious, one-sided massacre. Legion's booming voice cuts through the chaos, demanding silence from the crowd. Eri looks up at him, surprised by his sudden, commanding intervention. He reminds them of their painful history and the strength of their enemies. He warns against recklessness, insisting on thorough preparation for the coming conflict. He proposes a new strategy. First, unify their own realm under a peaceful banner. Eri realizes this new plan aligns perfectly with her own peaceful ideals. Legion turns to her, respectfully placing the final decision in her hands. The entire demonic host waits with bated breath for her official decree. She takes a deep breath, steeling herself for her first royal command. With a confident wink, she announces her wonderfully unorthodox new mission. The crowd erupts in a thunderous, unified roar of enthusiastic approval. The generals can only watch on, sighing in collective, weary resignation. In a quiet moment, Legion asks if she is satisfied with the outcome. He explains that this new mission will buy them time to find her a way home. Eri sips her tea, quietly processing the new, complex plan before her. She wonders aloud how her grandmother managed to cross between their two worlds. Legion remains silent, the question hanging unanswered in the still air. She senses his hesitation, but he quickly dismisses her growing concern. Legion announces her next official duty, a tour of the castle town's marketplace. Eri is immediately captivated by the vibrant, chaotic energy of the market. Her two guardians, the stoic Legion and a grumpy Ira, watch over her. She browses the stalls, fascinated by the strange and exotic local goods. Ira complains about her boundless energy, but Legion finds it understandable. Legion explains this is her duty, but Ira just gripes about babysitting. Overhearing, Eri cheekily suggests he should have stayed back at the castle. Ira leans down, warning her of the many dangers lurking in the market. He roars that she would be killed instantly without his powerful protection. She calmly points out that Legion is also there to protect her. Suddenly, a playful realization dawns on her face as she understands. She turns to the massive demon and asks if he is worried about her. She teases him, saying he's much kinder than he ever lets on. Flustered, the mighty general denies having any kind intentions whatsoever. She skips away, calling him a good demon, much to his utter annoyance. Legion can't help but chuckle at the sight of Ira being so flustered. His embarrassment turning to rage, Ira declares he needs to kill something. At that moment, a loud crash echoes as a brawl erupts nearby. The startled townsfolk wonder what caused the sudden, violent commotion. A powerful tiger-striped warrior stands over her defeated, fallen opponent. A small rabbit-eared artisan struggles, a magical tool in her hands. The warrior slams her fist down, narrowly missing the smaller demon. The force of the blow sends the artisan sprawling amidst the rubble. Eri watches the sudden violence, her playful mood instantly vanishing. In a flash, her protectors spring into action to shield their queen. Ira and Legion immediately place themselves between Eri and the danger. Ira glares, his voice a low growl of pure, protective menace. The brawlers are stunned to see two of the Demon Lord's top generals. He roars that their reasons don't matter, they threatened his sovereign. He threatens to drag them to the dungeons for their public insolence. But a calm voice cuts through the tension, telling him to wait. The rabbit artisan looks up, her eyes wide with sudden, dawning recognition. Eri steps forward, revealing herself as the new demon lord of this realm. The crowd murmurs in surprise at the sight of their tiny new ruler. She takes a moment, her expression serious as she assesses the situation. She points a commanding finger at the two brawlers, who flinch. She scolds them for fighting and causing a disturbance in the marketplace. The two powerful demons are rendered speechless by her royal directness. Ira mutters to Legion, wondering what exactly she intends to do now. Eri gets to the heart of the matter, asking why they were fighting. The artisan claims the warrior insulted her craft, calling her weak. The warrior angrily retorts, the heated argument flaring up once more. The artisan calls the warrior a simple-minded brute who only understands force. Ira's patience wears thin, but Legion urges him to wait and see. He lets out a low growl, barely restraining his own violent impulse. Eri watches them argue, a look of serene understanding on her face. She unleashes her command, her voice echoing with innate, royal authority. The sheer force of her will shocks the two brawlers into silence. Her generals watch as she takes complete control of the tense situation. Her expression softens as she prepares to mediate their bitter dispute. She calmly explains that their conflict stems from simple, mutual envy. She points out that they each possess unique skills the other covets. She suggests they praise each other's strengths instead of fighting over them. The artisan considers her words, realizing there is truth in them. The warrior admits that she is envious of the artisan's beautiful strength. The artisan blushes, touched and disarmed by the unexpected compliment. She confesses she only wanted to test the powerful tools she creates. The rabbit artisan, her eyes shining, asks to borrow the powerful magic tool. Legion agrees, asking for help in return, an offer the warrior accepts. Eri beams with a fanged smile, having successfully mediated between the two. The crowd murmurs in awe, wondering if this girl is really the demon lord. Eri panics internally, thinking she got carried away and wasn't very monarch-like. But the townsfolk cheer, amazed she settled things with words, not force. One demon excitedly rushes up, telling her how incredibly cool she was. Overwhelmed, Eri is given food and gifts from her adoring new subjects. Ira watches the chaos as Legion asks if he disapproves of her methods. Legion narrows his eyes, saying, on the contrary. He smiles, remarking that he was thinking her grandmother, Grazia, would do the same. Ira clicks his tongue in annoyance, but admits that he understands. Legion watches his new master, a complex, bittersweet expression on his face. Eri, munching on a baguette, is showered with affection, taking another step forward. Their tour concludes on a high cliff overlooking the vast demon realm. Eri points to a brighter horizon, which Legion confirms is not their land. Legion's expression turns grim as he prepares to explain the border. He gestures toward a distant, jagged mountain peak, a natural boundary. Ira explains that beyond it lies the human realm and their royal capital. Their final stop is a border village, where a citizen excitedly announces their arrival. The villagers pour into the streets, cheering a warm welcome for their new demon lord. They are swept up in a wild feast, the villagers celebrating their sovereign's visit. The village is a tranquil place, with windmills turning gently in the breeze. The demon children play happily as their new ruler enjoys the celebration. Eri stretches contentedly at the feast, while Ira notes her relaxed mood. She asks him what he meant, but he simply affirms his observation. He explains this peaceful place was once a bloody frontline military base. Looking over the village, Ira says that a life without war is their greatest blessing. A rare, contemplative look crosses the fearsome general's face. Eri listens to him, her expression thoughtful and serious. She picks up a grape, quietly agreeing with his sentiment. With a bright smile, she offers it to him, teasing that he shouldn't fight so much. Ira looks away, flustered and grumpy at her playful jab. He gruffly tells her to be quiet, as Legion watches with quiet amusement. The mood shifts as Legion announces he must briefly return to the castle. He has matters to confirm, formally entrusting Eri's safety to Ira. Ira grunts his acknowledgement, watching as his comrade departs. The welcome feast continues late into the night under the alien sky. The tables are laden with roasted meats and overflowing mugs of ale. Eri smiles, completely content and at home amongst her new people. Ira watches her with an uncharacteristically soft, almost gentle, expression. Suddenly, the sound of heavy footsteps breaks the cheerful atmosphere. As the party winds down, a desperate voice cries out for help. Eri's head whips around, her festive mood instantly vanishing. A human soldier in full armor collapses at the edge of the square. The villagers gather, identifying the man as their enemy, but noting he's alive. Without hesitation, Eri rushes to the soldier's side, calling for help. A commanding voice orders her to leave him. She looks up, startled. Ira stands over them, his massive form casting a long, intimidating shadow. He roars at the crowd, forbidding anyone from getting involved with the human. His logic is simple, they have no reason to help their sworn enemy. Eri looks at him in disbelief, unable to comprehend his callousness. She clenches her jaw, her compassion overriding her fear of his anger. Ira watches in fury as she prepares to defy his direct order. She helps the soldier up, shouting at the stunned Ira not to move. The general grits his teeth, his muscles tensing with rage. Eri pleads that she can't just leave the man here to die. Ira's eyes narrow, his expression hardening with bitter disappointment. In the end, he says, her actions prove she is just a human. Eri is heartbroken, having thought they were finally becoming friends. Turning her back on him, she declares that he is a bad demon. Ira can only click his tongue, his face a mask of silent fury. She helps the soldier away, seeking refuge by a crumbling stone bridge. Under the arch of the bridge, she offers the wounded man a drink of water. Her resolve wavers, wondering if she is truly capable of being their demon lord. Suddenly, a voice from the darkness warns of their presence. A squadron of human soldiers appears, led by a charismatic blonde commander. Eri looks on, wary and unsure of what will happen next. The commander, Mode, approaches and thanks her for saving his subordinate. He gives her a warm, reassuring smile, telling her she is safe now. Eri is flooded with relief, believing she has found a good person. A soldier reports to Mode that this village belongs to demons. Mode's kind expression falters for a fraction of a second. Is that so? Another soldier nervously adds that it appears to be a simple farming village. Mode looks up at the sky, coldly asking, and? His demeanor shifts entirely, becoming menacing. What does that have to do with anything? The soldier is terrified into silence by his commander's sudden change. Eri senses the dangerous shift, wondering what is wrong with this man. Mode turns, a cruel smile spreading across his face as he gives an order. Eri is baffled by his strange command to not attack them. A goblin screams as a second, larger army of soldiers storms the village. The human forces swarm through the peaceful streets, their weapons ready for slaughter. Eri whirls around to confront Mode, demanding to know why this is happening. She is met with his wide, chilling, and utterly remorseless smile. He spreads his arms, proclaiming that demons deserve no sympathy in his quest for justice. His voice rings out with the unhinged fury of a true fanatic. A villager protests their innocence, but Mode dismisses their plea. He looks down at Eri, telling her such things are completely irrelevant. She listens in horror as he declares all demons are born evil. He lets out a soft, condescending sigh, as if explaining something obvious. He tells Eri she has been deceived, and that he will release her. His soldiers close in on the terrified, unarmed villagers, cornering them. Raising a hand crackling with holy light, Mode orders the village burned to ash. Eri can only stare in wide-eyed horror, her mouth agape. A blur of motion cuts through the air with incredible speed. Ira lands between the two forces, roaring that they won't do as they please. He turns his massive back to the villagers, ordering them to run. Eri whispers his name, stunned that he has come to their defense. Ira stands firm, his profile a mask of grim, protective determination. He glares at the human army, a new understanding dawning. She is on his side. Eri's head whips around, her expression one of dawning, wide-eyed horror. A handsome man with blonde hair smirks, telling his companion to watch. The imposing demon Ira faces the man in a silent, tense standoff. The man rests a hand on his sword, formally introducing himself to the demon. He is Mode, a knight of Ramiel, one of the divine 7 stars. Ira recognizes him, growling that he knew this day would eventually come. His face contorts with rage, roaring that he is now utterly pissed off. A cataclysmic blast of energy suddenly obliterates a nearby windmill. The shockwave sends Eri tumbling hard across the dusty ground. She looks up, realizing the true, violent nature of this world's battles. The fight begins as Ira's fist clashes violently against Mode's holy sword. Mode smirks, commenting that Ira is a true monster, as expected. The knight pauses for a moment, his expression thoughtful and calculating. He floats back, stating he is pressed for time and cannot play. Ira looks on, utterly baffled by his opponent's sudden change in tactics. A small demon boy is suddenly grabbed cruelly by the hair. Mode holds the child hostage, as Ira clenches his fists in frustration. Eri can only stare, her face a mask of shock and disbelief. The terrified villagers are rounded up and held at spear point by soldiers. A close-up shows the fearful villagers, a gleaming blade inches from them. Eri cries out in horror that they are even threatening the children. Ira glares at the knight, his voice a low growl, calling him scum. Mode retorts, finding it amusing for a demon to talk of such things. He declares he will attack Ira, who is forbidden from dodging. If Ira endures 10 blows, Mode promises to release the hostages as mercy. Ira accepts, roaring for him to bring it on. His attacks are nothing. He holds a hand out to Eri, ordering everyone to stay back. Mode smiles, asking if Ira will keep his promise, then prepares his assault. He unleashes the first blow, a powerful punch that rocks Ira's massive frame. Ira grunts, his body absorbing the brutal force of the second impact. Eri counts in terror as the third and fourth devastating strikes land. The captive villagers cringe, counting the fifth and sixth agonizing blows. The ground itself cracks beneath Ira's feet from the seventh and eighth hits. Mode pauses, admitting his surprise that a demon would keep such a pact. Ira pants heavily, wondering at his opponent's strange adherence to the rules. Mode's smile turns sadistic as he asks how Ira will handle this one. The 10th blow erupts in a massive explosion of pure, holy energy. Eri looks on, her mouth agape, at the sheer destructive power. When the light fades, Ira is left hunched over, battered and smoking. Eri screams his name, her face a mask of pure, unadulterated terror. Mode looks down at the broken demon, calling him a fool. He reveals his true plan, to kill Ira, then annihilate the village. Eri is horrified, realizing that Ira's sacrifice was meaningless. Mode mocks the demon for choosing to die for a worthless village. Ira remains silent, his face hidden in the shadows of defeat. He whispers that he is different from what the knight believes. The scene shifts to a memory of a harsh, desolate demon landscape. A young, hornless Ira is being mercilessly beaten by other children. He tries feebly to shield himself from the kicks and blows. The bullies cast him out, telling the weak demon to leave the village. A powerful demoness appears, scolding them for bullying the weak. A bully foolishly calls her an old lady, earning her immediate wrath. The terrified bullies flee as she tells them to wait right there. The demoness sighs, exasperated by their cowardly behavior. She kneels before the young Ira, gently asking if he can stand. The young boy weeps, overwhelmed by this unexpected act of kindness. She tells him that if he has nowhere else to go. She places a hand on his shoulder, asking him to come with her. The young Ira looks up, his eyes wide with stunned disbelief. The demoness, Gracia, explains she is seeking reliable allies for her cause. Ira insists it's impossible, protesting that he is far too weak to fight. Gracia challenges him, stating that is only who he is now. She asks if he intends to remain weak for the rest of his life. His future, she explains, will be determined by the choices he makes. She offers to help him find a way to become stronger. Two hands, one clawed and one gloved, reach for each other in a pact. Gracia asks for his name, and he begins to answer her. In the present, he roars his identity, Ira, protector of the weak. Eri watches him, a new, profound understanding dawning in her eyes. Ira thinks to himself that for a village like this, peace is everything. A close-up on Eri's eye reveals her hardening resolve. Mode sneers at the pathetic demon who failed to protect anyone. He raises a glowing hand, his voice a cold command, die. A powerful shout echoes through the square, ordering him to stop. Eri stands before Ira, her arms outstretched, shielding him from the attack. Her eyes glow with an otherworldly power, a star-like pattern in her pupils. Mode is frozen mid-strike, shocked that his body refuses to move. Ira stares at the small girl protecting him, whispering her name in awe. With her back to them, Eri quietly asks why this is happening. Mode's eyes widen in disbelief as he begins to understand her power. A spectral image of Gracia appears as Eri reveals her lineage. She declares that in this world, she is the Demon Lord. A narrative panel explains that for demons, small horns signify weakness. In this brutal world, the weak are not meant to survive. But Gracia always believed that there was a different way. The young Ira, filled with hope, finally made his decision. Two hands, symbolizing a pact, are about to connect across time. The scene returns to the present, with Eri protecting the fallen Ira. Ira stares, sweat beading on his brow, completely stunned by her actions. A protective aura crackles around Eri as Mode faces her. Mode stammers in disbelief, questioning if she is the Demon Lord. He grits his teeth in frustration as his plans fall apart. His confusion shatters into a peal of wild, unhinged laughter. Eri watches his manic display, completely bewildered by his reaction. He calms himself, realizing that the divine oracle was indeed correct. He stares at his own paralyzed hand, identifying her incredible power. He recognizes it as the legendary king's prerogative of the Demon Lord. With a final, desperate surge of will, he clenches his fist, breaking free. He stands triumphant, his fanaticism unleashed as holy swords fill the air. The Holy Knight, Mode, decided it was finally time to end this. Eri cried out in disbelief, refusing to accept what was happening. Ira watched in shock as the knight broke through her command. Mode declared that the Demon Lord would now meet her final end. Her eyes widened, her gaze fixed on the unfolding, deadly scene. But Ira, defying his injuries, intercepted the attack with a thunderous punch. The force of the blow sent a massive shockwave through the village. The massive demon turned, asking why she hadn't fled to safety. She replied that she could never leave him behind to run away. She had made her choice, she would face this threat head-on. Her unexpected resolve left the colossal demon momentarily speechless. His shock gave way to a short, sharp laugh of pure admiration. He told her not to be a burden, she promised to do her best. His strength renewed by her courage, Ira rose to fight once more. Mode was impressed that Ira could still move after his powerful attacks. Ira scoffed, claiming the blows had merely loosened up his bones. The knight floated gracefully, condescendingly noting the demon's condition. Ira finished the knight's sentence, calling his own movement slow. Mode's speed was overwhelming, his attacks a blur from every angle. The demon general could only grunt in pain, unable to truly counter. A final, brutal flurry of blows sent the mighty demon reeling back. The knight landed gracefully, declaring that the fight was now over. But through clenched teeth, Ira defiantly whispered that it wasn't. Eri stepped forward, unleashing a powerful command that froze the knight solid. Her eyes blazed with the absolute, undeniable authority of the Demon Lord. Mode cursed his fatal mistake, he should have killed the girl first. The paralyzed knight fell to the ground, completely and utterly helpless. Ira loomed over him, raising a massive fist to deliver payback. The Holy Knight could only scream, his arrogance replaced by pure terror. A savage, triumphant grin spread across the demon general's face. The massive fist connected with a devastating, bone-shattering impact. Mode was sent flying, crashing through a building into a nearby windmill. Eri could only stare, stunned by the brutal, decisive conclusion. Ira watches the unfolding chaos, his expression a mask of grim anticipation. Amidst the rubble, Mode rises, seething with the indignity of the attack. He spits blood, acknowledging that the demon has actually managed to wound him. With a flash of holy light, Mode lunges, his sword aimed at a shocked Eri. He screams that her power is meaningless against his incredible, sound-breaking speed. Ira is stunned, realizing the knight still possesses an immense reserve of power. Eri's fear vanishes, her lips pressing into a thin, determined line. Her eyes narrow, now burning with the cold, absolute authority of a monarch. A blur of black and silver intercepts the attack as a polearm meets Mode's sword. The knight is thrown back, his attack thwarted, his face a mask of disbelief. The newcomer is revealed to be Legion, his long elven ear catching the light. Eri cries his name in relief, and Legion calmly apologizes for his late arrival. Mode stares at the swordsman, a flicker of recognition in his eyes as he asks who he is. With quiet confidence, Legion reveals his legendary title, the King of Swords. The arrogant knight hesitates, a bead of sweat betraying his newfound caution. Realizing he is outmatched, Mode summons a swirling portal to make his escape. He declares this battle a draw, stating that their final reckoning will have to wait. With a final, venomous sneer, he calls Eri a foolish demon lord. He promises that he will surely return to finish what he started. The portal closes, leaving Eri and Legion alone in the tense silence. Legion rushes to his master's side, frantically asking if she has been injured. Eri assures him she is fine, turning her concern to the wounded Ira. Ira rebuffs her, questioning why a human would care for her sworn enemy, a demon. "You're wrong," she says simply, her quiet words stopping him in his tracks. She reaches out, declaring that the labels of human and demon are meaningless. Placing a hand on his head, she smiles warmly, saying their core values are the same. She insists that what is truly important is the same for both of them. Her profound words break through his defenses, and he softly concedes, "I see." Eri vows to fight next time, but Ira just teases her for being too soft. With a weary sigh, he relents, offering to help his earnest but naive master. He stands tall, proudly declaring that he is a subordinate of the Demon Lord. Eri's face breaks into a wide, radiant grin, her fangs glinting with pure joy. Their new alliance is sealed as they stand together in the peaceful village square. The scene shifts to the magnificent human capital, a city of towering white spires. Here, a divine prophecy that has long been whispered is finally coming to pass. Within a grand hall, a report is delivered concerning a momentous event. A new demon lord, the oracles foretold, has at last been born. The Night Mode reveals the most stunning part of the news to his comrades. This new dark ruler is, impossibly, a human, just like them. From below, a young warrior questions the report, his voice filled with disbelief. Mode looks down, confirming the truth with a simple, thoughtful acknowledgement. But the warrior's shock quickly turns to a bright, heroic grin. He tells Mode not to worry, for he will save this lost human soul. He declares he will undertake this quest with his own hands, as the hero. This is Usei Kurigane, and he issues a bold challenge across the realms. He vows that the Demon Lord should wait for him, he is on his way. The news of a human Demon Lord spreads, a topic of disbelief and discussion. Many find it difficult to accept that such a strange paradox could exist. To some, however, this impossible turn of events is simply fascinating. Usei proclaims that the nature of his opponent is irrelevant to him, the hero. Unaware of this, Eri arrives at the demon castle, cheerfully announcing her return. Legion greets her, relieved that she is safe after her difficult and dangerous journey. Suddenly, a sultry voice calls out her title with a loving, sing-song tone. Before Eri can react, she is ambushed from behind by an enthusiastic figure. Luxuria, the spirit of lust, envelopes her in a tight hug, welcoming her home. The succubus then cheekily suggests that the two of them go take a bath. Legion quickly intervenes, telling the pouting demoness that their master is tired. The commotion grows as the bandaged Ira storms in, looking for Astia. A sharp, analytical gaze from Superbia cuts through the chaotic reunion. Luxuria turns her teasing to Ira, mocking his pathetic and wounded appearance. The generals clamor, worried about what could have happened to their master and comrade. Ira impatiently demands that the sleepy Astia heal his wounds at once. Still half asleep, Astia looks up and blankly asks the hulking demon who he is. Superbia brings the room to order, asking Legion for a full report. He needs to know what happened to leave their strongest general so soundly defeated. Legion explains they were attacked by a holy knight, confirming Superbia's deepest fears. Eri teases a heavily bandaged Ira, asking if he lost. Luxuria vehemently defends him, calling his opponent a coward as Ira grumbles in denial. Eri enthusiastically tells the bandaged Ira that he was truly magnificent in the battle. Ira turns his sharp gaze on Legion, demanding to know where he was. Legion bows his head apologetically, admitting he was late to receive the report. Ira's eyes narrow with suspicion, questioning what kind of report he means. Legion explains that battles with humans have suddenly intensified across the entire realm. Eri quietly wonders about the unfamiliar name Avarice that she overheard. Legion reveals that the orchestrators are the 7 Stars, humanity's strongest military force. He confirms that Mode was one of them, as Ira recalls his arrogant introduction. The realization dawns on Eri that a hero must truly exist in this world. Legion watches her, his expression somber and thoughtful. He knows that a fated meeting between the Demon Lord and the hero is now inevitable. The image of the ruined village foreshadows the coming of a new, greater war. Eri whispers the word war, her face etched with horror and dread. The memory of the human soldier's brutal attack flashes through her mind. Ira stands silently, his expression hardening with a silent, resolute vow. He clenches his fist, determined to never allow such a tragedy to happen again. Eri turns to her 2 most trusted commanders, calling out their names. With a new fire in her eyes, she begs them to help her become stronger. And so, her training resumes in the castle's vast underground fighting arena. She stands ready for her lesson, now clad in a practical training outfit. Legion explains her domination is a power that can even control nature itself. Ira reminds her that Gracia used that power to split the earth and summon storms. Eri stands alone in the arena, concentrating all of her focus. She points a determined finger down at the unmoving stone floor. "Ground, move," she commands, pouring all of her will into the words. An awkward, dead silence hangs in the air as absolutely nothing happens. Legion's eye twitches in disbelief at the complete failure. Ira's face contorts with a similar expression of stunned disappointment. He explodes in frustration, yelling that she can't just talk to inanimate objects. He wonders aloud if her power is fundamentally different from her grandmother's. Superbia arrives, politely interrupting their less-than-successful training session. He questions why the revival ritual, meant for Gracia, summoned Eri instead. Legion explains to a confused Eri that he asked Superbia to investigate this. Superbia posits that some other power resides in her, asking where Gracia's soul is. His sharp, analytical gaze hones in on the core of the mystery. He asks the ultimate question: why was a human named Katajiri Eri chosen? The question strikes Eri deeply as she contemplates the reason for her existence here. Legion watches her, sensing her turmoil and formulating a new plan. He addresses his master, offering a suggestion for what they should do next. He proposes that they investigate the last known whereabouts of the previous Demon Lord. Eri worries, asking where they could possibly go since Gracia was never found. Legion looks down, his expression turning somber. He speaks of the land where Gracia was sealed after her final battle with the hero. He reveals their destination, Termigid, the final battlefield, a hill of swords. Eri stares, the heavy name of the legendary place sinking in. Legion believes that by going there, they might find a clue about her summoning. Ira grumbles about her leaving again, but Luxuria voices her support for the plan. Superbia agrees, noting that Eri's blood connection to the past lords is key. He believes she may be able to achieve a result that they never could. Eri looks on, a glimmer of hope appearing in her determined eyes. Legion warns that the place is dangerous, but her mind is made up. "Let's go," she declares, her voice filled with cheerful, unwavering resolve. Ira is taken aback by her sudden, bright determination. Legion, too, looks on with a hint of surprised admiration. She explains that understanding the ritual might also give her a clue on how to return home. She trails off, adding that there is another reason for her decision. She declares that she, too, wants to know why she was summoned to this world. Superbia and Ira watch, their initial reluctance replaced by quiet understanding. Legion smiles, his faith in his new master completely solidified. He formally accepts her decision, agreeing that they shall go. The group stands united, ready for a new adventure to the land where the old king sleeps. From a castle balcony, Legion asks Eri if her preparations are complete. He stands ready to depart, his arms crossed over his chest. Eri seems about to say something to Ira, but hesitates, unsure what to say. Ira teases her, asking if she's feeling anxious about going without him. He jokingly offers to tag along, but Superbia sternly forbids it. Ira breaks into a nervous sweat under Superbia's disapproving glare. Superbia states that they cannot allow any more human aggression to go unchecked. He gives his orders: the demon army will mobilize to end the border wars. During that time, Legion and the Demon Lord will journey to Termigid. Ira acknowledges the plan, understanding that a larger conflict is now unavoidable. He looks on with grim determination, ready for the coming fight. He tells Eri not to worry about them, promising that they will not lose. With a rare, gentle tone, he tells her that she should be the one to be careful. Eri beams, giving him a confident smile and a cheerful Luxuria swoops in for a hug, demanding a final charge, much to Ira's fury. Legion turns his attention to the ever-drowsy Astia. He entrusts the castle to her, and she yawns, agreeing to get in touch if needed. With a final wave, Eri and Legion depart, leaving their comrades behind. Their journey begins, taking them into a strange and alien wilderness. They venture deep into a fantastical forest filled with glowing mushrooms. Eri's shoe presses into the soft earth as she walks onward. She pushes through the dense undergrowth, panting from the long trek. Legion, holding a magical torch, suggests they take a short break. Eri cheerfully refuses, flexing and declaring that she needs to build her stamina. Legion watches her with a small, amused smile. They eventually arrive at a tranquil, moonlit shoreline. Eri asks Legion what her grandmother, Grazia, was truly like. He smiles, saying that if he had to use one word, it would be tyrannical. A cute, chibi Eri imagines a massive, intimidating demon lord from the legends. She asks if this means Grazia was defeated by the hero at Termigid. Legion corrects her, explaining that Grazia was actually winning the battle. Eri is shocked that the hero would go so far as to sacrifice his own life. Legion's expression is grim as he recalls the end of the Great War. He explains that those willing to give everything are the ones called heroes. He reassures a worried Eri that he will always be by her side to protect her. Their journey continues through the strange and beautiful wilderness. Legion stops, telling Eri that it is time, and gestures for her to come here. He scoops her into his arms, saying, "Excuse me," as she looks on in surprise. Eri cries out in flustered surprise as she is suddenly swept off her feet. She protests, kicking her legs as Legion carries her forward, refusing to put her down. Her expression sobers as Legion quietly announces that they have finally arrived. He stands at the edge of a vast, desolate canyon, a deep scar in the earth. In the distance, the skeletal ruins of a city are nestled among jagged peaks. A shocked Eri asks what this place is, and he reveals it is the final battlefield. He warns her of powerful monsters, as strange, bird-like creatures begin to gather nearby. Announcing their advance, he scoops a startled Eri into his arms once more. She gasps in horror, realizing he intends to jump as his foot nears the edge. With a single, powerful leap, he launches them from the cliff into the open air. Eri lets out a piercing shriek of pure terror as they plummet toward the canyon. A flock of screeching, pterodactyl-like monsters rises from the depths to meet them. Legion remains perfectly calm, his face a mask of focus amidst Eri's panic. He lands in their midst, his blade a blur as he carves a path through them. The monstrous birds swarm them, their cavernous mouths open in a cacophony of shrieks. Legion coolly assesses the situation, noting that their numbers are overwhelming. He informs Eri he must briefly let go, much to her panicked disbelief. She tumbles through the air, flailing wildly and screaming that this is a bad idea. He calmly tells her to count to 10, promising he will be there to save her. She squeezes her eyes shut and screams as a monster's beak snaps shut before her. The sharp sound of a final, decisive blow echoes across the desolate landscape. Eri opens her eyes to find Legion standing over her, announcing the fight is over. He offers a cool smile, asking if she is alright, a pile of beasts behind him. She thanks him but thinks he is too overprotective, always putting her first. This entire situation, she feels, is far too much for a normal girl to handle. High above, UCI eagerly tells Mode they should charge into the fated battleground. Mode is hesitant, but UCI insists he can feel a powerful presence within the ruins. The hero's face is set with grim determination as he stares down at his target. He leaps down into the canyon, declaring with absolute certainty the Demon Lord is here. At that exact moment, Eri's loafers touch the ground, their two paths converging. UCI's boots land as the fated pair enters the Termigid dungeon simultaneously. Eri's gaze is steely, knowing that the Demon Lord and hero are about to meet. UCI grins with excitement, ready for the legendary confrontation that awaits him. The investigation begins in the dungeon that spreads from where Grazia was sealed. Inside the ruins, Legion explains that they have explored this place many times before. He hopes her presence will trigger a discovery, and she agrees to help. Eri notes the ruins' ancient feel, and Legion confirms it was once a great city. She comments on the easy path just as a splash echoes from the darkness nearby. A grotesque, amphibious monster erupts from a subterranean pool, lunging at them. Eri yelps in surprise, identifying the slimy creature as some kind of gecko. Legion calmly draws his sword, his expression unchanged as he moves to intercept. He cuts it down, explaining that many such powerful monsters lurk in these halls. Before they can move on, a ghostly, ethereal creature lunges from the shadows. Its insubstantial, smoky form seems to phase through the air as it attacks. Legion poises to strike again, his blade held ready against the spectral menace. He glances back, his eyes sharp and focused on the shifting, incorporeal enemy. The creature dissipates and reforms, proving to be a difficult, non-physical opponent. As Legion prepares to lunge, Eri's hand shoots out, commanding him to stop. She steps forward with a determined gaze, declaring that she will fight with him. Legion looks down at her, momentarily surprised by her sudden desire to join the battle. With a powerful, sweeping slash, he assists her in dispatching the spectral monster. Standing over the creature's dissipating remains, he thanks her for her assistance. His expression softens almost imperceptibly as he turns to look at his master. He asks if he might pose a question, and a slightly nervous Eri agrees. He asks her why she has suddenly become so determined to fight. Eri's expression turns serious and contemplative as she searches for the right words. She explains that she doesn't want to fight, believing a peaceful world is best. A memory flashes of the brutal conflict between humans and demons, the reality of war. She recalls the sight of Ira's battered body, a symbol of the sacrifices made. Her voice rises with passion, stating her desire to become strong to protect everyone. Her eyes flash with power as she declares this is her duty, for she is the Demon Lord. Legion looks on from the side, a quiet understanding and approval in his gaze. He tells her it is a wonderful sentiment, one that is truly worthy of her. Their purpose now aligned, they press deeper into the treacherous, ruined city. Eri looks ahead with newfound resolve, telling Legion they should move forward. A deep, guttural growl echoes through the stone corridors, heralding a new threat. They are confronted by another monster, a massive, golem-like creature of living rock. Legion stands with Eri, his expression confident as he readies himself for battle. They charge forward together, a united front ready to face any danger. Eri runs, thinking that with her new resolve, she is no longer afraid to fight. But a strange, pounding sensation in her chest warns her that something is wrong. A single bead of sweat rolls down her cheek as she looks ahead with deep unease. She stares into a dark, foreboding passageway, certain that something significant awaits. Legion cuts down yet another monster, but he too feels that something is amiss. He pauses mid-strike, a thoughtful, wary expression on his face as he assesses. He realizes the number of monsters they are encountering is far too high to be random. It feels as if they are being herded, pushed toward the dungeon's deepest point. He wonders if they are being drawn toward a powerful artifact, or something else. Sensing the urgency, he tells Eri they must hurry, and she readily agrees. They finally arrive at a massive, crumbling stone bridge spanning a dark abyss. Eri's loafers take the final steps onto the bridge, bringing her to her destination. She looks ahead with awe and trepidation, whispering that this must be the place. Legion confirms her thought with a simple, solemn yes as they cross into the arena. Before them lies a vast, ruined coliseum, the very spot where Gracia was sealed. A piece of rubble crumbles from an archway, a sign of the ruin's instability. Eri flinches as the ground begins to tremble, Legion standing firm beside her. Her breath hitches, her eyes wide with alarm as the tremors grow more violent. A colossal, brutish monster erupts from the arena floor, its massive back to them. Legion notes its immense size, identifying it as the dungeon's powerful master. He tells Eri to stay back, declaring that he will handle this threat by himself. His eyes narrow with intense focus as he gathers his power for a decisive strike. A massive bolt of lightning erupts from his hand, striking the beast's arm. The monster roars in pain, its arm charred and smoking from the magical blast. Eri is stunned, asking if that was his power, but he denies it was his doing. A pair of elegant boots land softly on the stone, accompanied by a curious sound. Mode appears on the upper tier, remarking on the impressive display of power below. Eri recognizes him instantly, realizing with a grimace that her premonition was correct. Mode looks down at them from the shadows, a smug, knowing smile on his lips. He muses on the convenient arrival of the hero, wondering if it is just a coincidence. He questions if it is destiny that brings the hero and demon lord together here. Eri's eyes widened, realizing the fated battle with the hero was imminent. The current hero and demon lord had finally gathered on the same stage. At that moment, something that no one could have possibly predicted occurred. The world around Eri began to shatter into a million fractured pieces. Reality dissolved into a brief, silent moment of complete and utter darkness. She found herself slumped over on the seat of a modern, empty train car. Dazed and confused, she slowly lifted her head, murmuring a soft, "Huh?" Her eyes scanned the unfamiliar interior as she wondered where this place was. A long, establishing shot revealed the sterile, silent emptiness of the train. Through the window, a familiar landscape of power lines filled her with hope. She let out a soft sigh of relief, thinking she had finally returned home. A cheerful voice announced that she was awake, revealing a smiling boy. She looked around again, asking if this was truly her original world. The boy kindly confirmed that she was awake, their fated meeting now beginning. Her expression was wary as she looked at the stranger, asking who he was. The boy placed a hand on his chest, confidently introducing himself as Yusei Kurigane. He flashed a brilliant, disarming grin, telling her it was nice to meet her. Eri was left speechless, a single bead of sweat trickling down her face. She noticed his attire, realizing he was wearing a different kind of school uniform. Yusei noted that her uniform was not from his school and asked for her name. She nervously introduced herself as Eri Katajiri, which he repeated thoughtfully. He asked if she had also appeared here suddenly, and she confirmed it. Yusei sighed, stating they would have to figure out how to get back. Eri explained that just moments ago, she was exploring ruins with her companions. He acknowledged their shared predicament, noting that this had become quite a problem. He lamented that he was just about to face the Demon Lord but never saw her. Eri's heart froze as she thought, this person. Her mind connected the dots, this friendly boy was the hero. Yusei cheerfully added that he was really looking forward to taking her head. Eri began to tremble, her mind screaming, what on earth should I do? She panicked, realizing a fight would break out if he discovered the truth. He pressed for more information, asking where she was and what she was doing. She thought he seemed like a good person, maybe she could reason with him. His gaze suddenly sharpened, his eyes locking onto hers with a new intensity. He leaned in close, a serious expression on his face as he began to ask. He excitedly grabbed her shoulders, asking if she was a hero from another world. Eri was completely baffled, stammering, me, a hero? Why? Yusei was ecstatic, while Eri realized the conversation had taken a terrible turn. They sat again, and he sympathized, saying it must have been tough for her. He spoke of being summoned suddenly, with no explanation of how to return home. His profile was somber as he recounted the burden of his new life. Eri looked at him with a deep, newfound sense of understanding. I see. She realized that despite their roles, their circumstances were exactly the same. He explained that he walked the path of the hero to meet everyone's expectations. He paused for a moment, his thoughts turning inward. But he wondered aloud if everything that had happened was just a simple dream. The word dream echoed in Eri's mind, making her question her own reality. They sat together in a comfortable silence as the train continued its journey. Eri's eyes narrowed with focus as she recalled her last normal moments. She was on her way to the station to meet her friends, just like always. She tried to remember if she had actually gotten on the train after that. A quick flash of the train's interior offered no clear answers. She asked where they were going, and he guessed they might be heading home. She wondered if simply riding this train would take her back to her world. A moment passed as she considered the tantalizing possibility of returning home. The thought solidified in her mind, if that's the case. She stood suddenly, her voice firm, declaring she couldn't go back just yet. A steely resolve filled her eyes, her duty outweighing her desire for home. Yusei looked at her, surprised by her sudden and powerful declaration. He agreed, stating that he too had unfinished business and people to protect. Eri confessed that while she wanted to go home, she couldn't ignore those in need. The train doors hissed open with a soft, pneumatic sound, signaling a stop. Yusei bid her farewell, and she replied that they would surely meet again. He questioned if that was possible, since they attended different schools. A small spark seemed to pass between them as their paths were about to diverge. Eri flashed a bright, confident smile, assuring him they would definitely meet. She gave him a sweet, blushing smile, asking him to believe her. He was taken aback by her certainty, a faint blush dusting his own cheeks. He murmured that it was strange, her confidence was almost magical. He admitted that when she said it, he felt like it was true. The world snapped back to the ruins of Termijit as Legion called out her name. He rushed to her side, asking if she was harmed, and she assured him she was fine. She looked past him, her attention fixed on the figures across the arena. In the distance, she saw the imposing figures of Mode and the hero, Yusei. Mode pointed directly at her, his voice booming as he revealed her true identity. Yusei listened, his expression unreadable as he took in the shocking news. He turned, his voice trembling as he asked, "You are the Demon Lord?" Eri gave a sheepish wave, remarking that they met again sooner than expected. Yusei's expression hardened as the full weight of the deception hit him. A wordless, furious scream erupted from Eri's mind as she saw his rage. "How dare you deceive me?" he roared, his voice cracking with betrayal. Luxuria appeared, purring about the evil woman, much to Eri's horror. Eri desperately tried to explain that she wasn't evil, but he wouldn't listen. Yusei clenched his fist, his trust completely shattered, his mind set on vengeance. He accused the handsome demon, Legion, of bewitching the innocent Katajiri-san. He railed against the cowardly and vile tricks demons use to corrupt the pure. Legion muttered that it was a common tactic, while Eri begged him to be quiet. Yusei extended a hand, offering her a chance at redemption. "Come, Katajiri-san." He pleaded with her to return with him to the human capital. Eri could only stare, completely dumbfounded by his absurd offer. Mode watched the entire exchange with a look of smug, detached amusement. A sharp sound cut through the air as Legion moved to intervene. He stepped protectively in front of his master, telling her to stand back. Eri tried to protest, insisting that UCI was just like her. Legion's cold voice cut her off, his focus entirely on the hero. He declared that the hero needed to be taught a harsh lesson. Eri felt a shift in his aura, a cold fury she had never seen before. Her eyes widened as she realized the depth of his anger. Is Legion-san angry? She thought, a menacing aura emanating from him. UCI met his gaze, his own expression one of grim, unyielding determination. In the ancient, ruined Colosseum of Termegid, two sides prepare for battle. The hero, UCI, angrily asks how Legion could have deceived the girl, Kateri. His face contorted with rage, he vows that he will take her home. Legion meets his glare, warning that he will show no mercy to her aggressors. With his mind made up, UCI reaches for the hilt of his sword. In response, Legion draws his own dark, curved blade from its sheath. A sweat bead forms on Eri's face as she watches the standoff erupt. Their swords meet in a shower of sparks, the impact echoing loudly. A shockwave of force explodes from the center of their duel. Legion remains focused, his handsome demonic features set in a grim line. UCI grits his teeth, pushing back with all his might against Legion's blade. Eri watches from afar, her hands clasped over her head in distress. She is utterly bewildered, wondering how the situation escalated so quickly. She notices Legion is fighting differently, with an uncharacteristic desperation. She realizes UCI, whom she calls Kurigane, is too enraged to listen. Their blades clash again, UCI pressing his attack with a fierce shout. From the sidelines, Mode sighs that the hero UCI is far too pure. A cunning smile spreads across Mode's face as he sees an opportunity. The two warriors disengage, circling each other in the dusty arena. Mode prepares to move, intending to strike at the Demon Lord himself. He is surprised as Legion masterfully deflects his first, unseen attack. Mode simply smirks, undeterred by the demon's vigilance and skill. Legion realizes Mode is trying to restrain him while fighting the hero. A close-up shows the two blades locked together, straining with immense force. The hero and the King of Swords stand face to face, locked in combat. UCI grins, complimenting his opponent on his impressive skill. Their swords part with a sharp clang, sparks flying from the steel. Legion's flowing cape swirls as he deflects another powerful blow from UCI. A close-up on Legion's eye shows his unwavering, intense focus. UCI's shirt collar is torn as he barely dodges a swift counterattack. Legion expertly flicks his polearm, keeping the aggressive hero at bay. UCI leaps back, putting distance between himself and Legion's deadly reach. He lands solidly, planting his feet for another charge across the arena. With a powerful shout, UCI lunges forward, his sword held high. Legion easily sidesteps the attack, leaving UCI momentarily off balance. Undeterred, UCI shouts that he's not done yet, his energy boundless. He pivots, swinging his sword in a wide, aggressive arc. Legion calmly observes the attack, acknowledging the hero's formidable power. But as their blades meet, Legion knows UCI is still unrefined. He declares that the hero is still too green, too inexperienced. Eri watches the exchange, mesmerized by the skill of the combatants. She thinks that Legion's movements are so graceful, it's like he's dancing. UCI looks over his shoulder, his eyes wide with focus and determination. He redirects Legion's weapon with a powerful swing of his own blade. Legion's cold, focused gaze never leaves his opponent for an instant. The two warriors become a blur of motion, their swords a whirlwind of steel. Legion's eyes widen slightly in surprise at the hero's sudden adaptation. UCI is confused, wondering why his movements are suddenly becoming sharper. A look of fierce concentration fills UCI's eye as he presses his attack. Legion is forced onto the defensive, pushed back by UCI's newfound speed. A clean strike draws a trickle of blood from Legion's cheek. UCI grins, realizing that he is finally getting used to the battle's pace. He tells Legion he is the strongest swordsman he has ever faced. A smug, knowing smirk appears on the face of the watching Mode. UCI declares that despite Legion's skill, he has no intention of losing. Legion can only stare, trying to comprehend the hero's rapid evolution. UCI feels a surge of power, realizing he's in better shape than ever. Eri senses the shift, wondering if this is some kind of awakening. His holy sword, Paladin, is revealed as the legendary proof of the hero. This new power's name is revealed as the chapter title, The Hero Evolves. UCI unleashes his new ability, the Just Hero manifestation. Legion immediately realizes that the hero's raw power is also increasing. A confident smile spreads across UCI's face as he feels the power surge. Legion is stunned, pushed back by the sheer force of the hero's assault. A clean strike from Uci's sword cuts Legion's arm. Uci kicks off a crumbling wall, launching himself into another attack. Eri cries out Legion's name as he is thrown back against the ruins. Legion pushes himself up, his body smoking from the powerful impacts. Uci roars that he's not done yet, that he can become even faster. He brings his sword down in a devastating blow, shattering the ground. Legion notes that the hero's movements are reckless, without any form. Mode watches from the sidelines, his expression one of smug satisfaction. He explains that Uci is embodying the ideal hero he imagines. If the hero believes he can fly, then he can indeed fly. His strength, born of imagination and confidence, has no upper limit. Therefore, Mode concludes, this makes him an unstoppable force. He has become, in this moment, the strongest hero. The ground shatters under the force of their continuing battle. Legion's face is a mask of grim determination as he faces this new power. Eri watches in horror, her mouth agape at the hero's transformation. Mode suggests that he help Uci finish off the King of Swords. Legion grits his teeth, his fangs showing as he endures the onslaught. He stands protectively before Eri, his sword held at the ready. Mode smirks, his plan unfolding exactly as he had envisioned. He tells Eri that Legion has no intention of fighting seriously. Eri is stunned into silence by this unexpected revelation. Mode explains that Legion is deliberately missing, as if to avoid hurting Uci. Eri realizes that he is fighting this way for her sake. Legion, his back to her, acknowledges that she now understands. She asks if he is truly doing all of this just for her. Uci agrees to end the fight, though he regrets it's not an all-out battle. A flash of light signals the beginning of their final, decisive attack. Eri clenches her fist, declaring that she must be the one to do something. She runs forward, placing herself between them and screaming for them to stop. Uci stares, his momentum halted by her sudden, desperate intervention. Mode simply sneers, declaring her attempt to be completely useless. He explains that a mere command spell won't work on the divinely protected hero. Eri is devastated, realizing her power has failed at this critical moment. Mode turns his attention to her, his sword now pointed at her directly. He decides that, as he thought, he will deal with her first. Legion stands defiant, vowing that no one will lay a hand on Lady Eri. Mode smirks, stating that Legion knows his limits, and an immature demon lord changes nothing. Overcome with guilt, Eri hangs her head, whispering that this is all her fault. A voice gently reassures Lady Eri, telling her not to worry as a tear forms. Legion stands before her, promising to make the demon lord's ideals a reality. He smiles, turning away, and declares that this is his true purpose and role. Eri looks up at him, her expression filled with awe and a hint of a blush. Uci grins confidently, shouting that it's a perfect day for a good fight. Legion readies his blade, his focus shifting back to the battle at hand. A close-up shows Eri's hand, a simple black cord tied around her slender wrist. The three combatants, Uci, Mode, and Legion, are locked in a tense standoff in the ruins. Eri's mind races, she feels useless as Legion fights for her sake. She gasps, a wave of despair washing over her as she feels utterly powerless. Her hand clenches into a fist, the simple bracelet a focal point of her frustration. A quiet but firm command escapes her lips, telling them to stop. Uci's holy sword slams Legion's blade down, forcing him to one knee. The hero raises his sword high, preparing to deliver the final, decisive blow. Eri unleashes her full power, roaring that she is the demon lord and they must stop. Uci, poised to strike, believes that this is the end of the fight. Suddenly, he is frozen in place, held fast by an unseen, absolute power. His eyes widen in utter confusion, unable to comprehend his sudden paralysis. Mode, too, is stunned, his face a mask of disbelief at this turn of events. Eri looks on, a confident, knowing smile on her face, her power fully awakened. Mode stares, demanding to know what is happening, what this power is. He realizes in horror that not just he, but the hero, is completely unable to move. Uci's eye twitches, a single tear of frustration escaping as he strains against the hold. Legion looks back at Eri, a shocked and questioning expression on his face. He realizes that the voice he just heard was not entirely Lady Eri's. The Colosseum groans as the ancient structure begins to violently shake and collapse. Mode grits his teeth, announcing that the dungeon itself has begun to fall apart. Legion spins around, urgently shouting for Lady Eri to get outside immediately. Uci, trapped in the chaos, cries out her name, Katajiri-san. He watches, helpless, as the world crumbles into an avalanche of rock and dust. Eri stands calmly amidst the falling debris, seemingly untouched by the destruction. The screen goes black as the dungeon implodes in a deafening roar. They emerge onto a desolate plain, having narrowly escaped the dungeon's complete collapse. Eri immediately rushes to Legion's side, asking if he has any injuries. He tries to dismiss her concern, but she insists he must treat his wounds. She pulls a roll of bandages from her bag, saying, "And also." She looks up at him sincerely, thanking him for fighting on her behalf. Legion looks down at her, his expression softening as he begins to reply. He declares that he is, and always will be, Lady Eri's sword. Eri offers him a small, gentle smile, their bond strengthened by the ordeal. A sleepy voice bubbles up from the ground, announcing it has finally connected. Legion asks Astia if something has happened to warrant this contact. Acedia's voice delivers a chilling message from a long, dark corridor. The demon castle is shown under siege, surrounded by a rebellious, torch-wielding army. In a remote village, Ira demands to know what is going on. He realizes the village is at peace, and there is no sign of labor shortages. A villager asks why he's here. Ira asks if the humans have attacked. The confused villager stares back at the imposing demon general. The villager confirms there has been no attack, and Ira realizes he's been deceived. A cold sweat breaks out on his face as the gravity of the situation sinks in. He looks toward the distant castle, wondering what is happening back home. Eri and Legion arrive at the grand, tiled entrance of the demon castle. They stop short, sensing a hostile presence just beyond the massive archway. Legion's eyes narrow with cold fury as he addresses the usurpers. 3 powerful, unfamiliar demons stand waiting for them in the vaulted hall. Avarice greets them with a mocking smile, calling himself the Greedy. Gula, the Glutton, drools as he eyes their battered forms, noting their blood looks tasty. Invidia, the Envious, purrs with jealousy at the sight of Eri's beautiful skin. Eri looks to her protector, whispering his name with concern. The rebels explain that the other generals were sent on false missions to the borders. Eri realizes with horror that Ira was deliberately sent into a trap. Avarice throws his arms wide, mockingly confirming that she is correct. Legion, his voice low and dangerous, demands to know their true objective. Invidia declares their intent to create a new demon realm ruled only by power. Avarice proclaims that their weak ways are over, they will seize the world. Legion, his face a mask of rage, declares he will never allow such a thing. Eri steps forward, her voice ringing with authority, vowing to stop them and take back her castle. Her eyes blaze with determination as she resolves to reclaim her conquered home. Legion watches her, his own resolve hardening in the face of this betrayal. He tells Eri to leave this to him, entrusting her safety to Astia. He reassures a worried Eri that he will join them as soon as he is finished. He places a hand over his heart, giving her a look of absolute confidence. Eri is left speechless, her concern for him written plainly on her face. As she is led away, she begs him not to die. He calmly promises he won't. The 3 rebels watch her depart, their expressions a mixture of amusement and contempt. Legion asks if they have no intention of pursuing their primary target. He draws his sword, its blade a blur of motion in the dim light. Avarice laughs maniacally, vowing to kill Legion first without any issue. Legion stands his ground as the 3 powerful demons charge toward him. Avarice lunges forward, his arm transforming into a long, wicked blade. He leaps from the archway above, his twin blades ready to strike from the air. The throne room echoes with the clash of steel as their blades meet. Legion skillfully parries the twin-bladed assault from the Lord of Greed. Gula, the Glutton, uses his massive body to smash Legion from the side. Legion grits his teeth, his focus absolute even as he is overwhelmed. The stone floor shatters as Gula slams him into the ground with immense force. Legion is caught and crushed beneath the brute's overwhelming weight and power. As he is pinned, Invidia smiles sadistically, preparing her magical attack. Massive, enchanted chains shoot across the floor, aiming to bind the fallen swordsman. With a desperate burst of energy, Legion slices through the approaching chains. Invidia simply scoffs, unimpressed by his futile struggle against her power. Wounded and exhausted, Legion is forced down onto one knee, his strength failing. A fresh, bloody wound appears on his chest from the relentless assault. He is surrounded, brought to his knees by the 3 traitorous generals. Gula licks his lips, commenting on the large amount of blood Legion has spilled. Invidia taunts him, saying that in his battered state, resistance is impossible. Avarice looks down at the defeated King of Swords and tells him to give up. In the throne room, Legion stands ready, his expression grim and determined. He declares that in this place, there is no need to hold back. The rebel Avarice smirks, a trickle of blood on his lips. With a blur of motion, Legion strikes Avarice with incredible force. Avarice grunts in pain, sent staggering backward from the powerful blow. Legion looks on, warning his foe not to get cocky. From the sidelines, the demoness Invidia sneers at the futile struggle. She believes such a gap in power is impossible to overcome. Suddenly, a shimmering magical barrier erupts, trapping Legion inside. He stops short, realizing the nature of the powerful magic. From the shadows, Superbia emerges as the unexpected mastermind of the coup. Deep in the demon castle's lowest level, another scene unfolds. Astia, the spirit of sloth, sleepily examines the same magical barrier. She reaches out a hand, cautiously testing its shimmering surface. She realizes the barrier repelled her magic, not her physical body. It is, she deduces, a barrier designed specifically to counter demons. She looks up thoughtfully, considering her options for escape. Deciding it is too much trouble, she mutters that it is annoying. She leans against the cold stone wall, completely unfazed by her confinement. With a soft sound, she effortlessly phases through the solid wall. Back in the throne room, Legion demands to know what Superbia is planning. He confronts his former comrade, his back tense with rage. Superbia coolly identifies himself, his expression cold and unreadable. Legion glares back, his eyes filled with disbelief and betrayal. Avarice thanks Superbia for the help, ready to pursue the demon lord. Legion lunges to stop them, shouting for them to wait. Superbia calmly holds up a hand, halting him in his tracks. He tells Legion that any attempt to fight back is useless. The barrier reflects all attacks, escape is impossible for Legion now. Legion's voice is raw with emotion as he asks why he betrayed Eri. Superbia's monocled eye glints as he prepares his chilling response. He tells Legion that he is gravely mistaken in his assumptions. Superbia declares they exist for the demon realm, not the demon lord. Legion's eyes narrow, processing the shocking betrayal of their ideals. Superbia's footsteps echo as he begins to walk away. He states that everything he does is for the good of their world. He coldly tells Legion to wait patiently where he is. Enraged and helpless, Legion can only shout Superbia's name in defiance. He realizes Eri is gone, as she runs frantically to save Astia. Legion looks on in a panic, a bead of sweat on his brow. Eri races down a long, vaulted corridor of the castle. She knows the stairs leading to the dungeon must be just ahead. She spots the arched doorway, exclaiming that she has found it. As she peeks around the corner, a monstrous growl echoes from within. A skeletal beast lunges from the darkness, its jaws snapping wide. Eri's eyes flash with a starlight glint as her power awakens. She commands the beast to let her pass, blasting it to pieces. She presses on, cautiously moving down the dark stone steps. Her innate power has cleared the way for her to proceed. But a new, even larger guardian, a massive golem, blocks her path. Eri stares up at the colossal figure, her resolve momentarily shaken. She unleashes her command again, shouting for the golem to move. The golem shudders but resists her power, its head tilting slightly. It braces itself against the walls, refusing to yield to her command. Eri looks on in shock, her powerful words having failed her. The golem seems to question how she could withstand its presence. It swings a massive fist, smashing the ground where Eri just stood. She realizes with horror that her domination power is less effective here. She screams as she dodges another devastating blow from the golem. Thrown to the ground, she wonders desperately what she should do now. She looks up from the floor, shaken but determined to find a way. Her eyes land on the charm from Grazia, spilled from her bag. A memory of Legion's words about magic tools flashes in her mind. He explained that her power is magic imbued into her words. She realizes she can channel her power through the monster-warding charm. She closes her eyes, focusing her intent and whispering a plea. She screams for the charm to protect her, pouring her will into it. The golem's massive fist descends, aiming to crush her completely. A brilliant flash of light erupts from the charm, meeting the blow. Her hands, clutching the charm, glow with a powerful, protective energy. The force of the deflected blow shatters the stone ceiling above. Eri looks up, panting, amazed by the power she has unleashed. A bead of sweat drips down her cheek, her eyes wide with relief. She looks down at the glowing charm still clutched in her hands. She whispers her thanks to Grazia and Legion for their protection. A sinister voice whispers that he has finally found her. Eri turns in shock, her moment of triumph instantly shattered. Avarice appears with his allies, asking why Legion is not with her. He laughs maniacally, calling her a fool for being all alone. He tells her to worry about herself now as he grabs her. Eri stares back, her eyes wide with terror and defiance. Suddenly, a massive explosion of white light erupts from her. Avarice is sent flying, screaming in pain from the unexpected blast. The force of the explosion echoes through the stone corridor. From the smoke, Gula and Invidia emerge, surprised by the attack. Avarice, his arms smoking, is impressed by the power she wields. Eri stands firm amidst the settling dust, her legs trembling slightly. Avarice notes she blocked him, as expected of a demon lord. Eri frantically looks around, asking where Legion is. Avarice reassures her with a cruel smile that he is simply sealed away. She asks with teary eyes if he is truly unharmed. Avarice opens his mouth wide, preparing to taunt her further. He shouts that she has no time to be worrying about him. Eri turns to the barrier, commanding it to open for her. But her power has no effect on the shimmering wall of energy. She stares in disbelief, realizing she is unable to break it. Gula looms behind her, reminding her that her power is useless here. Invidia tells her to behave, while Gula asks if he can eat her. Eri glares back, her expression a mixture of fear and defiance. Avarice tells Gula to wait, declaring that he will deal with her himself. Avarice, the architect of the coup, approaches with a predatory, fanged smile. He calls out to the cornered girl, his voice dripping with false concern, "Hey, Demon Lord." Leaning in close, he makes his insidious proposal, asking if she will join forces with them. Eri can only stare back in shock, uttering a single, confused, "Huh?" He gestures to the hopeless scene, telling her to accept the situation, as she has already lost. With a condescending smirk, he suggests it is better for her to simply give up and cooperate. Eri looks at him with utter disbelief, asking if he is truly being serious. Avarice coolly explains that to kill the hero, they need the power of the Demon Lord. He points out that she possesses that power, suggesting that their core ambitions are the same. With grand passion, he paints a picture of a world remade to her every whim. Eri stares down at the floor, her face a mask of silent, grim disapproval. Noticing her lack of enthusiasm, Avarice's pitch falters, asking if she disagrees. His expression darkens into a scowl, annoyed by her silent rejection of his vision. A close-up reveals Eri's eyes, now filled with a cold, unwavering fury. Avarice scoffs at her disgust, asking if this isn't the kind of world she wanted. Eri screams back, denying she ever stayed in this world for such selfish reasons. With a click of his tongue, Avarice shatters a barrier and lunges toward her. She cries out a useless command to move as his hand closes around her throat. He lifts her into the air, sneering that her magic words are useless now. He tells her that her power of domination is gone if her throat is crushed. The other rebels watch on, Gula noting that she is useless if not an ally. Avarice's grip tightens with a sickening crunch, cutting off her air supply. Tears of terror stream down her face as she chokes, wondering what she can possibly do. Suddenly, a powerful, unseen force slams into Avarice, sending him staggering back in shock. Eri collapses to the floor in a heap, desperately gasping for breath. Avarice stares at his hand in confusion, wondering where that attack came from. He looks up to see a defiant figure standing before him, growling a challenge. The figure, Legion, glances back at Eri, asking if she is unharmed. Eri looks up, whispering his name in disbelief through her tears. Legion stands as her shield, his body bandaged and steaming from having broken free. He offers a bloody but reassuring smile, insisting that it is no problem at all. Avarice sweats, his expression a mixture of shock and grudging admiration. His shock gives way to an impressed grin as he acknowledges Legion's incredible will. The other rebels are aghast, shouting that he must be insane to have broken the barrier. Eri rushes to Legion's side, pleading with him not to fight in his wounded state. Gula licks his lips, commenting on the delicious scent of the hero's blood. Avarice's patience runs out, asking Legion if he is finally ready to die. Legion stares back defiantly, stating that protecting Eri is his sole duty. Avarice accepts his resolve with a sneer and lunges, shouting for him to die. Legion is sent flying by a powerful kick that connects with explosive force. Invidia whips her magical chains from another angle, aiming to ensnare him. Legion manages to catch the chains, but struggles against their immense power. Gula, the glutton, charges in, his cavernous mouth open wide to attack the trapped swordsman. Legion is brutally slammed into the ground by Gula, shattering the stone floor beneath him. Pinned and overwhelmed, Legion can only grunt in pain under the combined assault. Eri watches in horror, whispering to herself that she is being protected yet again. She stands alone, her head bowed in shame, blaming her own weakness for everything. As Avarice moves in, she thinks of how wrong it feels to always be the one defended. In the darkness of her mind, she screams that she is sick of it and demands power. A single, tiny sliver of light pierces the despair in her thoughts. Avarice holds his blade arm over the kneeling Legion, taunting that he told him to give up. Legion can only bow his head in defeat, his strength finally failing him. Eri's eyes blaze with resolve, she needs power to protect what is important to her. Avarice raises his arm for the final blow, bidding the loyal swordsman goodbye. Her face contorted in a primal scream, Eri unleashes a desperate demand, "Give it to me!" Legion's eyes snap open in shock as he feels an incredible power surge through the room. A new, ancient voice whispers, "Well said," as a spectral blade materializes in Eri's hand. Legion's eyes are wide with a mixture of disbelief and dawning recognition. Eri now stands over him, holding the massive energy sword, her entire presence transformed. Avarice is thrown backward by the sudden, overwhelming surge of demonic energy. He stares in utter confusion, unable to comprehend this impossible turn of events. The being now possessing Eri looks down at the kneeling Legion. It speaks, saying it would feel the same way if it were in his position. The voice continues, a single word promising a change, therefore. Her form shifts subtly, becoming more mature and confident, as she offers to lend him a hand. Eri's inner voice repeats her desperate plea for the power to protect her ideals. The ancient voice within her responds once more with two simple words, well said. A close-up reveals her eyes are now glowing, with star-like pupils of immense power. A flashback reveals a peaceful city, explaining that Gracia once brought order to the world. But that peace was fleeting, as the great demon lord eventually vanished from sight. With her gone, conflict erupted once more, ushering in a new age of war. The cause was Gracia's younger brother, Beelzebub, who was sealed away by the hero. Now, in the present day, that legendary demon of old has finally returned. Avarice recoils in terror, overwhelmed by the immense, unfamiliar aura emanating from Eri. Legion looks up, a flicker of recognition in his eyes as he senses the powerful presence. The being in Eri's body laughs, teasing Legion for looking so beaten and battered. She turns, a wide, fanged smile on her face, and speaks his name, Legion. He whispers in disbelief, his voice trembling, Beelzebub-sama, is that you? The ancient demon lord smirks, asking what is wrong and if he has forgotten him. A small, knowing laugh escapes Legion's lips as he bows his head in understanding. Beelzebub thanks him, explaining their trip to the final battlefield was the key to his return. Legion asks if that chaotic moment was when he entered Eri's body. Beelzebub winks, confirming it, and adds that the hero's appearance was a surprise. He recalls the fated meeting, musing that the demon lord and hero are bound by destiny. He remembers Eri's command to stop, realizing it was his own power she wielded. He tells Legion to stop being so formal and reserved with him. He insists Legion call him Bells, noting that they have an audience now. Legion blushes slightly, feeling the dignity of the former demon lord is fading fast. Bells turns to the rebels, calling them a bunch of serious and boring guys. The scene shifts to Eri's spirit, naked and confused, asking what is happening. A close-up shows her panicked, blushing face as she tries to comprehend her situation. Bells, in her body, reassures her spirit, saying he knows what she wants to accomplish. He smiles confidently, telling her to leave everything to him now. The spirit of Eri looks on, blushing and uncertain, but seemingly trusting him. Eri asks who he is, and Bells explains their bloodline makes him her great uncle. Back in reality, Legion asks who Bells is talking to, seeing no one else. The invisible spirit of Eri waves frantically at Legion, trying to get his attention. Bells explains to Legion that he has simply taken temporary control of the body. He tells the spirit Eri that he will explain everything in detail later. Bells turns back to the rebels, asking if they should get started, as they are the priority. The awakened former demon lord appears, asking if they were waiting for her. Legion stares in utter disbelief, whispering the legendary name, Beelzebub. Despite his new form, he playfully asks if they can recognize him. Legion struggles with the truth, recalling the hero had sealed Beelzebub away. He confirms his revival with a sharp smile, telling them to move aside. Invidia sees no reason to fear, but Avarice feels an unsettling power. He casually admits his current power is less than half its former glory. Avarice laughs mockingly, confident they cannot lose to a weakened demon lord. Charging forward, Avarice declares that the former lord's era is over. In an ethereal plane, Beelzebub tells the real Eri to simply watch. Magical chains erupt, binding the demon lord, who seems utterly unimpressed. Invidia, triumphant, screams for her allies to strike the final blow. The hulking Gula and blade-wielding Avarice rush in for the kill. With a bored sigh, Beelzebub whispers that their efforts are foolish. In a blinding flash, the throne room vanishes, leaving the rebels outside. Avarice screams in confusion, demanding to know what just happened. They find themselves outside the castle, with no idea how they were moved. Looking up, they see the demon lord floating high above the castle spire. The rebels can only stare in stunned silence at the impossible sight. The real Eri panics about flying, but Beelzebub tells her to be quiet. He explains her power was his, and this is merely a simple exercise. He cracks his knuckles, ready to unleash his true power after ages. Despite the chaos, the real Eri finds his confident voice strangely reassuring. His eyes narrow as he whispers a single, final word of judgment. Eri's spirit form looks up in awe as immense power is unleashed. A cruel, confident smile plays across the demon lord's lips. Floating high above, he begins his declaration of absolute power. The sky itself darkens, crackling with raw, untamed magical energy. Reaching out, his eyes aglow, he names his power, domination. A terrifying storm of power gathers above, dwarfing the castle itself. Eri watches the display, a mixture of awe and fear on her face. He points a single, commanding finger down at his defiant subjects. With absolute authority, he gives the simple, devastating command to strike. A colossal bolt of black lightning descends from the heavens. The real Eri cries out as her physical body strains under the power. Through the pain, she can only think that this is true, incredible power. A small crackle of lightning dances harmlessly on his fingertip. The demon lord asks if they are impressed by his long-awaited return. His star-like pupils narrow as he surveys the aftermath below. The rebels survive inside a shattering barrier, the ground now a crater. He offers a small, intrigued smile at their unexpected survival. Invidia and Gula are visibly shaken by the overwhelming display of force. Avarice can only stare upwards, momentarily at a loss for words. He realizes they would be dead if not for Superbia's last-second shield. He curses under his breath, his frustration palpable. His frustration turns to manic laughter as he stares up at his foe. He taunts the demon lord, asking if he has gone soft with age. He insists they still have the advantage and their victory is assured. Beelzebub looks down, his expression calm and unreadable. Avarice smirks, believing he has correctly assessed the situation. He explains his current state is incomplete, much to Avarice's confusion. His soul, he says, has only just settled into this fragile human vessel. The real Eri warns that any more power will destroy her body. He calmly tells her he understands and won't push her body too far. He adds that if it were just him, the outcome would be different. Legion looks up, puzzled by the demon lord's cryptic statement. Two figures suddenly plummet from the sky above the battlefield. Ira and Luxuria crash down, their dramatic arrival changing the battle. Eri's spirit is overjoyed at the sight of her loyal generals. The mighty Ira stands tall, his gaze fixed on the enemy. Luxuria greets her master with a flirtatious pose and a happy smile. Avarice stares in disbelief, calling the newcomers fools for appearing. He demands to know why they are here, as Luxuria complains. Avarice realizes Superbia must have disabled the device meant to delay them. Legion grits his teeth, the full weight of the betrayal sinking in. He mutters that they were completely deceived by their supposed comrade. Superbia appears behind Avarice, who screams his name in a rage. Superbia remains perfectly calm, his expression cold and unfeeling. He states he told them before, his actions are for the demon realm. Legion looks down, finally understanding the cold logic behind the coup. Beelzebub stands confidently between his two powerful generals. Luxuria smiles, commenting on the nostalgic feeling of the demon lord's presence. Ira admits he doubted the news when Superbia first informed him. Superbia adjusts his monocle, his complex plan unfolding as designed. Eri realizes Aestia is missing, still trapped in the dungeon below. Calling her a nuisance, he prepares to act as a rumbling begins. He punches the ground, roaring for her to wake up as she's launched skyward. Aestia lands in a heap, and Eri cries out her name in concern. The groggy Aestia finds herself with an unexpected and startling view. Beelzebub furiously tells her to wake up and do her job. Aestia scrambles to her feet, offering a flustered and sincere apology. Aestia unleashes her power, conjuring a massive, brilliant magic circle. The rebels look up in horror as the sky is consumed by light. They brace themselves as the protective barrier shatters into pieces. The united generals now stand ready to face the exposed rebels. Luxuria, Superbia, and Ira present a powerful, unified front. Gula is hungry, but Avarice tells him to be quiet, not yet defeated. A bloodied Legion appears before him, declaring that the fight is over. Legion delivers a single, decisive blow, ending his rival's ambitions. Avarice can only cry out Legion's name as he is defeated. Legion holds the defeated rebel, both now looking up at their master. With cold authority, the demon lord gives the final order to give up. Avarice's face twists in a silent scream of absolute humiliation. He collapses, screaming in rage, his rebellion and spirit utterly crushed. The coup was swiftly ended by the return of the former demon lord. With the rebels imprisoned, the chaotic insurrection finally comes to an end. A skeleton narrator explains that this is how the conflict was resolved. Beelzebub announces his return with a cheerful pose, asking if they're happy. He commands them to rejoice, as the real Eri watches on. The four generals stand assembled once more, united under their true master. On her throne, the new Eri asks why everyone is so downcast. Ira storms forward, demanding she explain everything she knows about the coup. He recounts returning from his mission to find the castle in utter chaos. A goblin explains that the demon Avarice and his cohort had betrayed them all. Luxuria smiles, clarifying that Lady Airy has now become the great Lord Bells. A confused Ira asks if it is truly him, as Astia questions his doubt. Luxuria rushes forward, her heart aflutter at the sight of her returned master. She embraces Belle from behind, who remarks that Luxuria is the same as ever. Ira yells at the dozing Astia, demanding she wake up and pay attention. Astia snaps awake with a jolt, insisting that she is fully alert. Belle watches the familiar, chaotic reunion of her generals with amused eyes. She declares that it is good to see them all so full of life. Ira can only watch, his face a mask of confusion and frustration. The spectral Airy, invisible to most, asks what has happened to her. She confronts Belle, demanding the ancient demon lord return her body at once. She asks what Belle could possibly be preparing that requires her body. Superbia arrives, and Belle greets him, announcing that he has come. Legion watches the scene unfold, his expression serious and unreadable. Superbia unveils a blank golem, prepared as requested for Lord Bells. Airy asks what the doll is, as Belle explains it's part of the plan. Belle places a hand on the golem, declaring it his new temporary vessel. In a blinding flash of light, Beelzebub's soul transfers to the golem. Airy, back in her own body, cheers with joy, exclaiming she has returned. Legion welcomes her back as she happily announces that she is home. She looks around, wondering where the ancient demon old man has gone. From the golem, now in his true form, a single eye opens. Airy looks down at herself, her face flushing with horrified realization. "Why am I naked?" she screams, as the spectral Belle shrugs it off. She panics, wondering why her body's appearance is still the same as before. The new Beelzebub demands an explanation from Superbia, as Airy hides. Superbia explains the golem is a vessel that takes its form from memory. He reveals Airy's soul and Beelzebub's are now in a state of coexistence. The new hybrid Airy touches her chin, understanding the new reality. She declares her soul now resides with Ares, who screams for clothes. Given a new uniform, Airy complains that it feels uncomfortably drafty. She notes it's not her school uniform, wondering what Superbia was thinking. Airy points at Beelzebub, telling the old man to put on his clothes. Beelzebub looks down at the uniform, saying nothing. With a mighty rip, he tears the shirt open, finding it too restrictive. He strikes a pose, saying this revealing style better suits his majesty. Superbia explains that her physical power is now that of Lord Bells. The hybrid Airy smirks, intrigued by this newfound strength. She approaches Ira, telling him to hold out his hand. With a grip of iron, she seizes the massive general's wrist. She effortlessly sends the hulking Ira flying across the throne room floor. Ira laments his luck as Superbia notes her power will only grow. Beelzebub smirks at Superbia, remarking on how much he has changed. He calls Superbia by his old, forgotten name, Greed. The general corrects him, stating that he is now Superbia. The hybrid Airy looks on, curious about this hidden piece of history. Legion watches the exchange in silence, his gaze intense. The original Airy turns to Legion, asking him for an explanation. Legion confronts Superbia, demanding to know why he orchestrated the coup. The four loyalist generals stand together, reunited but with questions unanswered. Superbia acknowledges they all have much to discuss, as does he. Beelzebub grabs his shirt, saying that if that is the case. He tears off his clothes with a grin, declaring it is time for a bath. The original Airy is left completely stunned by the bizarre suggestion. Deep within the castle lies the path to a hidden sanctuary. Behind the demon lord's treasury is a secret, glowing door. Beyond it lies a vast, steamy chamber, hidden for ages. This is the entrance to the demon lord's private hot spring. The original Airy sighs in the water, feeling like she's alive again. Luxuria explains only Beelzebub's chosen can open the secret door. Airy asks if all demons bathe, but Luxuria says Lord Bells just liked it. The hybrid Airy listens, a faint blush on her cheeks. The male generals are also present, and Superbia asks if it is co-ed. Ira assures him demons are less concerned with gender than humans. The original Airy mutters for him not to stare, despite her words. She sinks into the water, telling herself no one is looking anyway. The hybrid Airy, annoyed, commands Ira to prostrate himself in the water. Ira surfaces sputtering, furiously demanding to know why she did that. Astia says she got annoyed, while Legion tells Ira to calm down. Airy asks where Beelzebub is, just as he makes his grand entrance. He arrives naked and exuberant, thrilled to be in a bath again. Astia scolds him for running naked, but he realizes where he is. Airy tells him to cover himself, as he is using her body's form. He steps into the water, saying it doesn't matter since they're all in. He sinks into the spring with a sigh of pure bliss. Astia asks why he built the spring here instead of in the castle. He explains it's a secret place where they can truly relax. Legion watches the scene, his expression still troubled and intense. The original Eri decides it is time for Superbia to start talking. Legion confronts the general, demanding to know why he did it. Superbia's gaze is distant as he prepares his explanation. He repeats his creed, he acts for the demon realm's sake above all. He calmly states that his dangerous plan was a necessary evil. Beelzebub cuts in, telling Legion to let it go for now. He says what matters most is that everyone is ultimately safe. Legion sighs, still deeply troubled by the risks that were taken. Superbia notes that Legion must have sensed the lack of true hostility. Legion asks if Superbia had foreseen this entire, chaotic outcome. Superbia admits that he had not foreseen the specifics, but he knew it was imperative for Eri to become stronger. He saw the coming of a new hero and the rise of the 7 stars. Without Eri's growth, he saw no future for the demon realm. The hybrid Eri realizes the angels are involved in this era, too. The original Eri asks if Beelzebub knows the angels, he scoffs. He reveals that the angels shattered the peace his sister Grazia built. He declares with burning resolve that the angels are their true enemy. In the steam of a hidden hot spring, Astia identifies their true foe, the celestial host. The scene shifts to the bustling border city of Fort Draze, where a confident Belle arrives. She and a nervous Astia walk through the streets, trying to blend in with the human crowd. Belle cheerfully identifies their location as Draze, the largest human city near the demon realm. Astia, peeking from her hood, nervously asks if this is truly a good idea. Belle advises a trembling Astia to act confident to avoid drawing unwanted attention. She reminds Astia that she's human, so her face shouldn't be a problem, but Astia protests. Astia panics, recalling that the hero and a holy knight have already seen her face. Belle dismisses her worries, suggesting they move on if their target isn't here. Suddenly, Astia collides with a stranger, stammering a panicked apology. The young man, Usei Kurigane, insists that the fault was his. He looks down with genuine concern, asking the cloaked girl if she is alright. Astia freezes in shock, recognizing the hero she was trying to avoid. Usei studies her face, a flicker of recognition in his eyes, asking if they have met. He leans closer, asking if she would mind showing him her face, increasing Asedia's panic. Belle smoothly steps between them, catching the hero's attention and shielding her companion. The 3 of them stand in a tense, unexpected standoff in the middle of the crowded street. Belle offers a charming smile, apologizing for her friend bumping into him. Usei turns to her, his own eyes widening as he recognizes her face. Astia whispers a warning to Belle, her heart pounding with fear. With a confident flourish, Belle grabs the edge of her own hood. She pulls it down dramatically, revealing her face and introducing herself as Belle. Usei is utterly speechless, stunned by the sudden, familiar reveal. Astia lets out a small cry of disbelief at her master's bold move. She mentally screams at Belle, questioning her sanity for revealing herself to the hero. Belle leans in close to Usei, playfully teasing him about recognizing her face. Usei admits that she bears a striking resemblance to someone he knows. With a sly grin, Belle insists she has never met him before. Usei studies her intently, still trying to place the familiar features. Belle simply hums, pulling her hood back up, her expression unreadable. Usei laughs, deciding he must have been mistaken, as their personalities are completely different. Belle brushes it off as a common mistake, silently amused that the demon lord is right there. The hero then turns his attention back to the other girl, asking who she is. Astia flinches, caught completely off guard by the direct question. Belle quickly concocts a lie, claiming Astia is her shy younger sister with a facial scar. Flustered by the elaborate fabrication, Astia pulls her hood down even tighter. Usei, ever kind, accepts the story and tells her not to feel pressured. He properly introduces himself as Usei, offering his help should they need it. Astia is touched by his kindness but remains silent, overwhelmed by the situation. Usei smiles, impressed by Belle's quick thinking to protect her sister. He remarks to himself that he's glad to have found his target so quickly. Back in the steamy hot spring, Astia asks about the angels' true purpose. Belle confirms that the angels are their true enemies, beginning to reveal the hidden history. She declares that the war will never end unless they are stopped, and that it is her time to act. Astia is shocked, questioning if the angels truly shattered the world's peace. Belle affirms it, explaining how they brought chaos to a once harmonious world. A flashback depicts an idyllic past where humans and demons lived peacefully together. But this peace was broken when the angels posed a question to humanity. A celestial being whispered lies, sowing seeds of doubt about the demons' intentions. The humans look to the heavens, their hearts filled with a newly planted fear. Bel explains how the angels gave power to humanity, inciting the Great War. If not for their interference, she laments, the world might still be at peace. Astia asks why they would do such a thing, assuming they were allies of humanity. Astia firmly states that this assumption is wrong. Legion clarifies that the angels are beings forgotten by their own celestial realm. They are not allies of the world, he explains, but servants of God's will. Bel adds that they only side with humans because they see demons as an obstacle. Luxuria stretches, noting that this is the reason they were forced to fight. The conflict was engineered to escalate until the very end. It culminated in the legendary one-on-one duel between the demon lord and the hero. Bel concludes that the battle ended in a stalemate, leading to the current state of affairs. Astia now understands the grim truth: the angels are the true enemy. She connects this to the 7 stars, realizing Mode was a knight empowered by them. Bel explains the angels they defeated will eventually revive, and that the world is in that transitional phase. Astia realizes Mode's fanatical cruelty was a direct result of the angels' influence. The tranquil sound of the hot springs flowing water fills a brief silence. Ira states that even if they defeat the angels, they simply revive, repeating the cycle. Bel agrees that a decisive, final battle seems impossible under these conditions. The eternal conflict between humans and demons is designed to be unending. Astia is horrified by the seemingly hopeless, cyclical nature of their war. But Bel simply grins, a cunning idea forming in her mind. She proclaims she will teach the humans that the angels, not the demons, are their true enemy. Astia questions the feasibility of such a plan, knowing its difficulty. Ira and Superbia point out that no human would ever listen to a demon. Legion looks on, a sudden, shocking realization dawning on him. Bel reveals her audacious plan: she will make the hero her ally, shocking everyone. The scene returns to the bustling streets of the border city, Fort Drays. Bel casually asks UCI if he is a resident of the city. UCI explains with a smile that he was just visiting when he got separated from his friends. Astia is relieved that only UCI is present, fearing others might recognize her. Bel feigns sympathy, asking if he is a lost child, just like them. UCI admits he is not familiar with the city and cannot offer much help. He sighs, resigning himself to wandering aimlessly through the streets. A deep, aged voice calls out to them, observing that they seem to be lost. Bel turns her head, her gaze sharp and assessing. A mysterious, heavily cloaked old man stands before them in the crowd. He offers to guide the lost travelers through the city's confusing streets. Bel's eyes narrow slightly, her suspicion piqued by the stranger's sudden appearance. UCI gratefully accepts the offer, explaining that the man knows the city well. He tells the guide he is looking for people who resemble him, and the man says he saw them in the plaza. UCI asks the girls what they want to do. Bel decides they will follow to gather information. The old man gestures for them to follow him toward the city center. The unlikely trio follows their mysterious guide down a wide, stone-paved street. Bel asks UCI how he got separated. He explains he was helping a lost child. UCI asks about the child's fate, and Bel confirms they were safely returned to their mother. Bel silently wonders how she can possibly convince the hero to join her side. Astia whispers that she needs a solid plan before they reach the plaza. Bel simply tells her companion not to worry about it. With a sly smile, she whispers that this is a perfect opportunity to be exploited. Astia is left completely baffled by her master's cryptic and dangerous strategy. A mysterious, cloaked guide leads the unlikely trio down a quiet city street. He asks their purpose, and UCI claims reconnaissance while Bel says they are travelers. The guide then asks if they are aware of the town's unique history. UCI vaguely recalls it being a site of ancient demonic conflict. The guide confirms this, explaining it was once part of the demon realm. Bel listens with a faint, knowing smile, understanding the deeper implications. She declares with theatrical flair that he has brought them to their new beginning. The guide remains silent, his face hidden within the deep shadows of his hood. UCI, utterly lost, asks what on earth she could possibly be talking about. Astia looks on with quiet concern, sensing the shift in the atmosphere. They are led into a vast city square, centered around a hero's statue. Their guide gestures grandly, proclaiming that this meeting is also a matter of fate. A sudden, violent eruption of dark energy explodes from the guide's form. UCI realizes with a gasp that this being has waited over a millennium. Acedia's hood flies back as she demands to know if he is a demon lord. A single, massive black wing unfurls from the guide's back, revealing his nature. His face is finally revealed, an ancient being with a stern, powerful gaze. UCI turns to Bel, confused by the term, demon lord. His eyes widen in a moment of sudden, shocking realization. He shouts Belle's human name, Katajiri-san, her true identity now exposed. Belle winces, muttering that she has carelessly slipped up. Yusei explodes with anger, yelling at her for deceiving him yet again. She sweats nervously, unable to explain the complicated truth of the situation. Belle regains her composure, smirking and addressing the being as her great predecessor. The ancient being is finally named, the fallen angel, Lucifer. Yusei and Belle are both stunned to be in the presence of such a legend. Lucifer roars that it is a detestable name for him to be called. He vows to kill the demon lord and finally reclaim his place in the heavens. Belle correctly guesses that he has made a pact with the angelic 7 stars. Lucifer questions the impossible alliance he sees between a demon and a human. He dismisses their partnership as an obstruction to his divine goal. He lands heavily on the plaza stones, his presence radiating immense power. A wicked, massive scythe materializes as he vows to kill the hero as well. Belle coolly observes that his weapon is quite gaudy and very demon-like. Enraged, Lucifer shouts that he is not a demon. He is an angel, he proclaims, an existence created to destroy all demonkind. Astia cries out a desperate warning to the old man. The sharp clang of steel on steel rings through the air. Yusei has blocked the scythe's descent, his sword holding strong against the blow. He declares with unshakable conviction that he is the hero. He will not ignore evil for any reason, Lucifer simply tells him to die. A flashback shows the brutal history of the demon realm 700 years prior. 3 great kings vied for power, Satan, Astaroth, and the Emperor Lucifer. These 3 mighty candidates for Demon Lord were locked in a bitter stalemate. The balance was shattered when the great king Satan was suddenly defeated. Lucifer received a report that a new, unknown power had emerged. He demanded to know the identity of this mysterious challenger. A messenger knelt, reporting her name was Gracia, a preacher of coexistence. Lucifer scoffed at her naive ideals, sure she would be crushed quickly. But Gracia appeared before him in person, challenging his cynical worldview. She invited him to join her in creating a world for all races to share. He furiously rejected her foolish dream, screaming that it was impossible. Gracia coolly replied that she would be the one to select its possibility. Holding a single feather, Lucifer realized a soul-crushing truth. He understood that no matter how he struggled, he could never be the demon lord. In the present, Lucifer's face is a mask of pure, centuries-old fury. Yusei squares up against the fallen angel, ready for battle. He lets out a fierce battle cry as he charges forward. He swings his sword, not at Lucifer, but past him. His true target is Belle and Astia, whom he intends to protect. Yusei focuses entirely on getting the 2 girls out of harm's way. He shoves Lucifer with all his might, yelling at him to get away. The ancient being stumbles back, surprised by the hero's protective maneuver. Belle seizes the opening, a wicked demonic gauntlet materializing on her fist. Lucifer recognizes the powerful artifact as a piece of demonic armament. With a grin, Belle reveals that the powerful gauntlet is custom-made. "Don't move," she warns, her voice a low promise of pain. She lands a powerful, gut-wrenching punch on the fallen angel. Lucifer's eyes bulge with shock and pain from the devastating blow. She follows up instantly with another savage strike to his midsection. He gasps, unable to defend against her ferocious, lightning-fast assault. He grits his teeth, realizing that Belle will strike him down first. He turns his rage on her, deciding to eliminate the brat immediately. Black feathers fly as he pivots to attack his new target. The hero and the demon lord stand back to back, an impossible, united front. Yusei's eyes burn with a fierce, unwavering determination to protect. Astia calls out Yusei's name, shocked by this unexpected alliance. Belle observes the scene with a cool, almost predatory, amusement. Lucifer screams at the hero, reminding him that Belle is the demon lord. "I know that." Yusei shouts back, his resolve unshaken. He declares that in this moment, Lucifer is the true enemy he must defeat. The 2 launch a perfectly synchronized attack against the fallen angel. They move as one, their separate fighting styles weaving into a single assault. Lucifer is completely overwhelmed by their impossible, seamless teamwork. He cannot comprehend how such a perfect union could possibly exist. He is stunned by the beautiful, deadly coordination between hero and demon lord. He lets out a cry of pure frustration, his ancient pride shattered. This is the power of Yusei's unique skill, Just Hero, which embodies his ideals. For the first time, this skill allows for perfect coordination with an ally. They continue their relentless assault, a blur of motion and raw power. Yusei's sword rings against the scythe's shaft, he grunts at its hardness. Lucifer stands his ground, his single wing casting a dark shadow. Belle watches him silently, her expression unreadable and calm. She taunts him with a single, cutting remark, "You've gotten old." The word old echoes as black feathers drift lifelessly to the ground. Lucifer laments that if he'd remained an angel, he would never have aged. He unleashes a final, desperate explosion of raw, untamed power. He roars that he is an angel and descending to this world was a mistake. UCI realizes with dawning horror that their foe is the archangel Lucifer. No, Lucifer snarls, his face a mask of defiance, correcting the hero. Belle scoffs at the defeated Lucifer, calling him a fallen angel who regrets his choices. Lucifer, his face hidden in shadow, snarls back at her to be silent. He screams his ambition no longer matters, he will return to the heavens. He vows to use any means necessary as a dark, corrupting plague erupts. The viscous black substance spreads rapidly across the city's rooftops, a horrifying sight. Below, the townsfolk look up in alarm as the sky suddenly darkens above them. Lucifer stands amidst the chaos, his power swelling as his hair flares with energy. UCI shouts in alarm, demanding to know what is happening as Belle watches grimly. Belle reveals he is draining the city's life force, leaving UCI utterly shocked. Panic erupts in the streets as the townsfolk see the dark energy descending. The people clutch their heads in pain and collapse, their life energy being stolen. A pristine white wing bursts from his back, feathers fluttering in the air. He reveals his second form, vowing to take their heads as an offering to heaven. The three heroes stare up at their transformed foe, their faces grim and determined. As a black plague covers the city, Lucifer laughs madly over the fallen citizens. He spreads his mismatched wings, declaring this to be his true, chaotic power. Astia calls out to her uncle, but the stern Belle immediately stops her. Belle looks up at the floating enemy, telling her younger sister to stay back. Astia understands her demonic powers will be useless against this new, powerful form. Belle addresses UCI as Chick Hero, earning an immediate and angry retort from him. She ignores his anger, stating confidently that the two of them will defeat Lucifer. She points out that the source of Lucifer's immense power lies in his wings. If they can cut down his wings, the life-draining barrier will surely collapse. She declares her intention to target and destroy the pristine white wing. She assigns UCI the task of severing the dark, corrupted black wing. UCI agrees, reluctantly putting his trust in the Demon Lord for this battle. Belle gives him a smug, confident look, ready to begin their coordinated attack. They face their foe, and Belle playfully tells UCI not to hold her back. Astia watches from the ground below, a look of worry on her face. She worries that once again, she will be unable to help in the fight. Sensing her worry, Belle turns and calls out to the little lady Astia. Belle reminds her that they are one body and soul, and Astia agrees tearfully. Lucifer looks down from above, mockingly asking if their meeting is finally over. Belle smirks back, sarcastically thanking him for waiting so patiently for them. Lucifer tells them to enjoy their final conversation, a pitiful gift from an angel. He unleashes a deadly storm of bladed feathers, raining them down from the sky. UCI reacts with intense focus, his body a blur of defensive motion. With a powerful slash of his sword, he expertly deflects the incoming projectiles. Belle uses UCI's back as a springboard, shouting "Go!" as she leaps upward. Lucifer swings his massive scythe in a wide, deadly arc to meet her attack. Belle watches the scythe's approach with a sharp gaze, calculating her next move. Her eyes widen as she twists her body in midair, narrowly dodging the blade. She immediately retaliates with a powerful, flying kick aimed straight at his head. He blocks her kick, marveling that she was able to cut through space itself. Lucifer compliments her on the well-executed defense, a smug look on his face. Astia warns UCI that a lingering slash remains in the air after the attack. UCI sees the shimmering rift left behind by the scythe's powerful passage. He strikes the spatial rift, his attack redirecting through the tear in space. The redirected slash streaks across the sky, aimed at Lucifer from an unexpected angle. The surprise attack strikes Lucifer, but he seems to absorb the blow easily. Lucifer smirks, dismissing the attack as weak and utterly unimpressive. UCI grins, revealing to his foe that the redirected attack was just a feint. Belle descends from above, delivering a powerful axe kick directly at his head. He stares in disbelief, shocked that she was able to see through his attack. She shouts that she can sense the flow of his magic without seeing it. Lucifer grunts in frustration and pain, realizing he has been completely outmaneuvered. He manages to catch her heel at the last second, stopping the powerful kick. He sneers down at her, bidding the Demon Lord a final, grim farewell. Belle smirks, confidently telling the fallen angel that he is gravely mistaken. Ares' inner voice declares that she and her demonic counterpart are now one. Her eyes, seen in an inverted close-up, shine with a new, unified power. She and UCI launch a perfectly synchronized pincer attack on their powerful foe. She yells at the chick to go, and he shouts back, asking who she's calling a chick. Caught between them, Lucifer can only roar in frustration as they close in. Belle lets out a powerful cry as she unleashes her final, decisive attack. The three warriors clash in a spectacular, chaotic explosion of power and motion. As three heroes seize their chance, Lucifer can only roar in pure agony. Seen upside down, Belle smiles in triumph as their coordinated attack finds its mark. In the decisive moment, Lucifer is sent reeling back from the powerful blow. UCI roars with effort, putting all of his remaining strength into the attack. UCI's companion unleashes a blinding ball of pure light from her outstretched hand. The magical light streaks across the city square, a beacon of hope for all. Astia watches the final attack, a look of quiet satisfaction on her face. Astia catches the exhausted Belle in her arms, telling her she did well. Lucifer lies defeated in a crater, his face a mask of utter disbelief. The heroes watch as the defeated Lucifer mutters about his foolishness once again. Belle tells him he can no longer be an angel without wings to fly. Holding a feather, she remarks that his deep greed was truly demonic in nature. Lucifer can only glare up at them, his face contorted in silent, impotent rage. The black feather dissolves into light, its dark magic finally broken. A wave of pure energy spreads through the city, reviving the fallen citizens. Belle tells Astia this should wake everyone up, thanking the chick hero for his help. UCI stands before them, his sword drawn, demanding to know who they are. He looks at them and asks the most important question: what is a demon lord? Belle closes her eyes for a moment, considering her answer to his question. She introduces herself as Beelzebub, the previous demon lord, shocking the onlookers. UCI presses on, asking about the girl he knows as Katajiri-san. He asks directly if she is human, his gaze fixed intently on her face. Belle explains that while the body is human, it holds a demon lord's power. UCI asks Katajiri-san what she, as the demon lord, truly wants to do. Eri's true self takes over, her voice quiet but firm as she answers him. She declares her simple, earnest wish, a world where everyone can live happily. She states that this is her role as the demon lord in this world. UCI sheathes his sword, simply saying "I see," his decision now made. He turns to leave, stating he must return to the castle to confirm things. Astia reaches out, calling his name in surprise as he begins to walk away. Belle asks Astia if she is worried about her uncle leaving so suddenly. She calls out to the departing chick hero, offering to help if he's in trouble. UCI pauses, a small, knowing smile on his face, and replies, "Yeah, right." Belle and Astia watch him leave, a new, unspoken truce formed between them. The hero, UCI Kurigane, is welcomed back to the Grand Royal Capital. He is immediately summoned to a grand hall by his commander, Heil. UCI confronts him, demanding to know why he allied with the demons. Heil remains impassive, his expression unreadable and cold. He coldly dismisses the city's recent destruction as a predictable rampage. Everything, he claims, is for the sole purpose of defeating the demon lord. UCI passionately refutes him, declaring they fight for the people's peace. He clenches his fist, vowing to defeat the demon lord for that peace. But he insists that Eri herself does not desire any conflict. Heil sighs, his patience wearing thin with the hero's idealism. Suddenly, a blast of holy energy erupts, forcing UCI back. The young hero is stunned by the unexpected attack from his commander. Heil chides him, stating a hero has no need for a superfluous ego. He declares UCI's only duty is to follow orders and defeat the demon lord. UCI glares back, his resolve hardening in the face of tyranny. A new voice rings out as Eri and her generals make their grand entrance. UCI is completely shocked to see Eri here with her demonic retinue. Belle smirks, claiming she is simply following the terms of their contract. She reveals a promise made with the mouse girl to help each other. Heil looks on, unimpressed by this talk of promises between enemies. The mouse girl questions this new pact between a hero and demon lord. She seems delighted by the prospect of them working together. She joyfully leaps into Belle's arms, glad to be reunited with her friend. Belle is clearly annoyed, while UCI is utterly bewildered by the scene. She asks if Belle was lonely, much to Belle's flustered irritation. The mouse girl asks if their uncles were rivals in the past. She insists they formed a deep bond while Belle was sealed away. Their conflict was one of fate, not personal hatred, she explains. She says they both wish for the same future, making them good friends. With a bright, blushing smile, she declares her great affection for Belle. UCI and Eri can only watch, completely flustered by the display. Legion watches, his gaze focused on the being now called Bells. UCI angrily confronts Legion about his past actions with the old hero. Heil observes the chaotic reunion, his expression growing darker. The 7 stars are shocked that the new generation is all gathered here. Belle smirks, taunting them for this unforeseen turn of events. Hyle coldly agrees, stating they will simply correct this anomaly. He gives the order to eliminate all the dangerous elements at once. Belle scoops up Eri, declaring they have their own destination to reach. The mouse girl cheerfully invites UCI to join their escape. But Hyle raises a hand, forbidding them from leaving. A massive wave of divine power blasts them all backward. The force of the attack is immense and overwhelming. Belle entrusts the battle to her generals as she makes a break for it. Hyle watches them flee, his gaze fixed and resolute. Legion immediately engages one of the knights in a fierce duel. The knight curses the demon army for their interference. Legion grits his teeth, recognizing his opponents as the elite 7 stars. The 4 generals charge forward, ready to settle the score. The throne room erupts in a blinding flash of light. The generals clash with the knights in a starburst of power. UCI and his companion watch as the battle rages around them. Belle arrives before the throne, declaring they have finally met. Eri looks up at the figure on the throne with trepidation. She addresses the king of humanity, but then corrects herself. This is no mere king, but the vessel of the absolute God. The 2 demon lords stand before the ultimate power in this world. Belle greets the god with a defiant, knowing smirk. The god questions if it is the vessel's consciousness speaking. Eri realizes she is in the presence of a true deity. The god finds the situation before him to be incomprehensible. He states that 2 heroes and 2 demon lords coexisting is an anomaly. Belle furiously tells the god not to meddle with fate. The god, a sigil glowing in his eye, rejects this twisted destiny. His divine judgment is absolute and final. He stands and singles out Eri, calling her an anomaly of fate. Belle is shocked by the god's direct address to Eri. UCI is equally stunned by the god's pronouncement. With a simple gesture, the god commands Eri to return home. Belle cries out in alarm as Eri is pulled away. A powerful force envelopes Eri, her world dissolving into darkness. She finds herself floating naked and alone in a black void. She looks around in confusion, wondering where she is. A single tear traces a path down her cheek. Before her, a window of brilliant light appears in the darkness. This is the portal back to her own world, her old life. She hesitates, unsure if she should take this path home. A gentle hand stops her, telling her the choice must be her own. She turns to see the spirit of her grandmother, Gracia. Eri is overcome with shock and emotion at the sight. Eri cries out her grandmother's name, and Gracia greets her warmly. Gracia calmly explains they are within Eri's own spiritual world. Eri questions her grandmother's presence in this strange place. Gracia reveals she is the will of the power residing within Eri. Eri realizes she is speaking to the source of the demon lord's power. Gracia confirms she bestowed a part of her very being upon her. She reveals Eri now possesses the prerogative of selection. This power, combined with domination, is the key to defying fate. Gracia points to the portal, a clear path back to her home. The choice is now Eri's, to stay or to go. The promise of her old life shines brightly before her. Eri takes a breath, her decision made. She declares she will return to the fight, her work unfinished. Her face is filled with a new, quiet confidence. Gracia accepts her decision, telling her to see it through. Gracia reminds her that she is now, truly, the demon lord. With a peaceful smile, Gracia bids her farewell, finally understanding. Eri now knows her journey was her own choice all along. Back in the throne room, the god's command still hangs in the air. Belle's desperate cry echoes as Eri's consciousness returns to her body. The absolute god is stunned when Eri powerfully rejects his offer to send her away. She declares with fiery resolve that as demon lord, she has chosen to stay here. The god is utterly shocked by her vehement declaration that she will not be going back. Her fierce expression softens for a moment, a silent thought passing through her mind. With a gentle smile, she silently thanks her grandmother Gracia for this newfound strength. The god regains his composure, addressing the defiant demon lord with a grave tone. He claims that her very existence is the sole obstacle to achieving world peace. She looks down with a knowing calm, asking if he truly doesn't understand. She concedes his point but exposes the dark truth behind his vision of peace. The god coldly questions what could possibly be wrong with a world for humans alone. She erupts, declaring his vision wrong and vowing to create a world for everyone. UCI and Belle appear at her side, declaring their shared belief in her vision. The hero proclaims that he will fight alongside them to achieve this new world. Belle adds with a feral grin that they desire a future of their own making. The god grimly concludes that their ideals are fundamentally incompatible with his own. He raises his hand to forcefully restore what he believes to be the proper destiny. Eri counters that the future is forged not by destiny, but by individual choice. They declare that just as she chose to stay, they can all choose their future. The god scoffs at their passionate words, dismissing their hope as a mere illusion. Yusei smiles confidently, promising to prove that their dream is no mere fantasy. The god's eyes widen in sudden shock as he feels an unexpected force. He looks down to see a powerful hand has seized his own, a will made manifest. With a brilliant, triumphant smile, Eri declares to the heavens that she chooses the future.